to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats Podcast. And it's me, it's Dante. Y'all know that. I'm always here. So last episode, I had a teammate on, and, we're trying to work our way up to this episode. And I specifically said that was 249 because I want to talk about this being 250 because that's a milestone episode. Like, if you read comic books or just in general, it's halfway to 500. So for this episode, this milestone episode of 250, I want to talk to 3 teammates over there at Crazy 88, all of which we started back all at the old Ivey League back down in Arnold, Maryland. And all these motherfuckers got their purple belts all together. So this is a special moment. So I want to welcome to the podcast, to my left, Kyle Prescott. Across from me, Ronnie Masgay. And to my right, I got you this time, Mark Rollamas. Got you. See, before when he was on here with Huggy and Danny, I was like, Mark. He was like, yo, you don't know my
You're
fucking
so irritating,
name?
bro. I've known you for over 10 years now.
Well, no. So what it is, though, is
You
like,
try to play it up. You would call me Coach Mark for the longest time just to avoid my last name.
I got Phil calling you Coach Mark. Every time I talk to him, it was like, how's Coach Mark? It's just
So
Mark. It's
irritating.
Mark. It's like, relax. But like, part of it, though, is like, I'll look at your last name. I'm like, how do you say that? And I've been hearing everybody else say it. And I'm like, I feel like y'all are wrong.
No one says it right because Julius says it wrong, and that's how everyone says it.
That's why I was like, I feel like you guys are saying it wrong. But yeah, Coach Mark.
I didn't even know your last name till fucking Master Julius said it. I didn't know that. You always went by Mark David on
He
everything.
didn't say it right.
Yeah.
Like the,
I didn't know if your last name was David or not.
I thought it was David for a long time, and I heard Chrissy say one because we were at the New Breed,
Yeah.
and you mentioned it, and she was like, "They said your last name right," and I was like, "Wait, how do you not say David right?" And she was like, "It's not David." And I was like, "I'm dumb as fuck." Like, okay, well, I fucked up, but yeah, so. A big point of having these 3 cats on here, besides the fact that, again, we all started back at Ivey League, back in Arnold, is the fact that their journeys to Purple Belt are all drastically different. Because we got Kyle went the path of like, you're a hardworking hobbyist, and that's the thing. Whenever you say hobbyist, people always like look, it's like, oh, well, but like
People hate that.
Yeah.
People hate that. Let me say something real quick. John Donaher was a hobbyist.
Yeah.
He was not a competitor. He had hip injuries early in his career that put him out of being a competitor. So if anybody got a problem, they can take it up with John Donaher.
Dickheads.
He's my proxy.
And then we got Ronnie. Ronnie competes, but also Ronnie is taking the coach's path, though. I mean, and that's a big thing because it's like, in order to coach something, you got to know it, and that's huge. People don't quite understand it until you're in it. And then you got Mark, on the competition end, where it's like, every time I talk to him, I was like, are you trying to come over here and like train on a Friday night with me? No, I got to go over to Elkridge and train. He was like, well, okay, fuck you.
Well, to be fair, bro,
be friends.
And I will say this, Dante. Ronnie's been in his fair share of competitions too. So I wanted to shout that out because I know you had some success.
Just a little bit. We're about to dust off the purple belt first competition.
You love to hear
my
it.
God.
Love to hear it.
That's about to be crazy.
Yeah.
wait, which one? I didn't know about
New
this.
Jersey.
Oh, wait, when's that one?
That's the IBJJF.
No, but when?
June something or another. It's the one we got the kids at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to be there anyway. So I might as well make it shitty for somebody else while I'm there.
Look across like, are you coaching too? Yeah. Good. I got you.
Keith is up my ass currently, just with the nonchalant comments of like, Masters Worlds being in September, and I'm like, I haven't said
I know it's in September.
I know,
I'm
I'll
aware.
be watching it on
Have a
Flow.
calendar. Like, trust me, I'm aware. Like, what you trying to say? Oh, you want me to do it? I'll coach.
Yeah.
But for you, and just kind of a refresher, because so Ronnie's been on here, Mark has been on. Cal, this is your first time being on, so I want to go around and ask everybody just, as a refresher, what got you in. So Cal, I'm gonna go ahead and start with you. What got you on the mats in the first place?
Yeah, 100. So for me, when I first started in jiu-jitsu, I've been an MMA fan for a while. And it's funny because I watched WEC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the lightweight guys, and I thought that was fucking rad. And so, at the time, I was spending a lot of time in DC, and there was a lot of, we'll call it strife, consternation, etc. And I felt the need to learn something for self-defense. So obviously, already knowing what jiu-jitsu was based on just MMA or like whatever, like everybody knows who Joe Rogan is, or whatever. So I was like, I guess I'm going to go do jiu-jitsu. So I just searched up jiu-jitsu in my area, and the first spot that came up was Ivey League. So I went to Ivey League, and Master Danny was always like the most jovial man on the planet. He was just the nicest guy, and he pretty much brought me on right away. I signed up right away. So it was like, to me, it just always clicked. And even when I went to other arts like Muay Thai, it just, for me, I always say like Muay Thai is food for your body, jiu-jitsu is food for your mind. I say that all the time, and I think that Master Danny used to say jiu-jitsu is the most complicated martial art, and I would tend to agree with them. And it's like a chess match every single day. And so I just signed up right away, and I took all the goods with the bads, just dove in, I would say.
I think when I started, they were still doing the 1 month trial. Mm-hmm. And I talked to Mouth's mom, Miss Sarah. Coach Sarah, I guess, because whenever I say Miss Sarah, she would correct me, Coach. I was like, okay, lady. But she was like, if you sign up, in that first week, we'll, give you a break on your tuition. I was like, I like it anyway. You have, I was already sold, but you didn't have to tell me that. But yeah, now we're gonna do it. But they had a way of getting you right in the beginning, because it's it was such an open environment. Everybody was very welcoming. Because I remember going there, it was hearing cats talk about comic books, and I was like, oh
yeah, everybody in jiu-jitsu is nerds, guys.
Yeah,
90% of us.
I didn't know that shit until I started getting. I was like, oh, y'all are all nerds. Anime, comic books, this is home. So
yeah, 100%. I would say that the jiu-jitsu guys are smartest guys in the room. Usually, it doesn't always mean they're.
Hey, relax. Don't say that about me. Relax. Ronnie, what got you on the mats?
So I had wrestled in high school, and I had always intended on getting back into something. Oh, sorry. I had always kind of intended on getting back into something related to the mats, whether it be coaching, what have you. And then same thing. Their marketing was really good, because the very first time that I Googled, mixed martial arts or wrestling in my area, Ivey League popped up.
First result.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I went and met Master Danny, and I did 3 classes, and then I met Keith, and after that it was over. I just kept on going, and it was great.
They don't tell you about the mat burn on your feet, though. Can we talk about that for a second?
No one talks about mat burn
on the tops of your feet and your toes from dragging your feet around the mats. That is fucking incredible. I used to think that if you pour alcohol on your open wounds, that was gonna clean it. That was while I was getting those mat burns on my feet. So I was literally pouring straight alcohol on my mat burn feet, and they would be mat burned for weeks. It just prolonged it. Nobody ever told me that.
I don't. It's one of those weird things where you feel like it should be talked about, but yet nobody ever talks about it. And I almost wonder if people are ashamed of it.
No, it goes away though. Why does it go away?
It's only it's only guys that are trying to get takedowns or trying to do takedowns that end up getting it too. So it's
I have a bad case of turf toe right now, and I'm not sure what to do with my life, but I keep fucking with it, and then. But I got old, so now my knee hurts. So I'm I'm not even worried about the turf toe anymore, because my knee hurts a lot. I'm like, fuck that toe. So, but yeah, we need to get a campaign about the mat burn for sure, because that is actually a thing that nobody's really fucking talking about. I got this on BJJ Week. I got y'all.
Did that happen to you, Mark? Did you have the mat burns on your feet and everything?
Mat burn and turf. Yep. Yeah, that's terrible, and it comes from weird parts. When I'm trying to when I'm swinging into an armbar, right? I'm swinging my leg around. Sometimes my toe will get caught or my knee, and it would just scrape the bottom. And depending on whatever mats are being used. Like sometimes there are mats that are like, you know, a little rough, or some that are a little softer and smoother. Depending on that, like it's gonna burn me, and it sucks because like the move looks clean, but then it hurts more. Like
it looks clean.
You won the battle, but you lost the war.
Yeah. And then when I get home and I shower, it's like, fuck, this is painful. And then I found out people like scratch the back of my neck and everything. Too.
Oh,
I forget about that shit until the shower too.
Yeah, the
Because like
shower's
I'll
the
come
worst.
home and like even today, I don't know. I got all these like cuts on my hands, so I came home like wiped down and everything, and like ran my hand
Like,
in the
people,
water.
People need to cut their nails. Like people are literally scratching me left and right. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, you know what's weird though about that? Like, I cut my nails regularly,
I do too. Yeah.
but the way my nails are shaped is like this weird like oval, like this oblong oval.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So when I cut them, it's like hard to get them. Like I gotta start filing them or something because
That's
it's
what I
hard to
did.
get them
Yeah.
like
I
uniform
started filing.
without cutting it too short.
oh,
Like who the fuck joins jiu-jitsu and then they realize that they have to like learn how to file their nails and like tape their
I had to
fucking
learn
finger.
recently. I had
Like,
to,
there's all this other stuff.
my
Bro.
toenails for me.
bro. Yeah, exactly.
Toenails.
Toenails. There's a proper way to cut toenails because if you don't cut them properly, you'll get ingrown. Yep. And that's and I learned that recently because I almost got one and I had to pull it out, and they said you had to cut it properly.
So I remember when I first started, because I'm really weird about. First off, I fucking hate feet. I hate feet with a passion, and Bear, his foot went in my mouth one time, and the amount of hurt, because after that he wrist locked me, so it was just a double whammy of hurt.
God
Because I couldn't think about the wrist lock because a foot was just in my mouth, and I'm thinking, yo, what? And then wrist lock was like.
Dang, you just got prison ruled.
And there was still timing around. I had to take a moment, so I faked an injury. I was like, "Ooh, hold on, my knee." It's like really, it's my pride. But I hate feet so much. So before going in, after I got into the groove, I went and got a pedicure. I was like, let me go ahead and get my feet taken care of. It was like, I know other cats ain't paying attention to feet on the mat, but for me, it was a thing. It was like, I gotta have the nicest feet on this mat right now because I'm not fucking around. Because one day it's gonna be somebody's like, yo, Dante's feet is wild. Yo, his toes is crazy as shit. Like, look at his toenails. So for me, I was like, all right. And also, it kind of set the standard though on how my toenails were cut and shaped, and I just kind of kept with that pattern. Like my wife, she'll like, I'll walk up and like, hey, before I head out, can you cut my nails? She'll cut my nails, and I have a similar nail bed. So after she cuts them, I take the file. I'm in the car at red lights. Filing my nails.
I
before
do the
get
same
in.
thing too. I do the same thing right before
I
practice.
need to start filing my shit, bro.
Yeah,
I think
got-
that's what's
It's a
happening.
game changer.
Filing really
'Cause I don't want
helps.
to be the guy that cuts your.
Yeah,
hands
that's the
and
thing.
shit
You don't
up.
want to do this.
Sometimes you cut your own self up. You
Yeah.
ever realize?
I cut my-
Somebody grabs your wrist and you go to, snatch that off, and you
Dude.
cut yourself.
I cut-
I've done that before.
I
Too
cut myself
many
with my
times.
own big toe. It's like you got to file. You got
Yeah,
to.
you got to, man. That's
It's
unknown.
crazy.
There's another one. We talked about Matt Burn. That's another unknown. That
Yeah.
you gotta
hurt
file your
yourself.
nails.
And then Mark, what got you on the mats?
Oh man, now that I really think back about it, I started jiu-jitsu when COVID happened, right? So I mean, if you listen to my episodes, like I started when COVID happened, and it ended up being a roller coaster of like, oh, I want to be a competitor, and like in a sense I am, but also like now I'm just using competitions to benefit my own development as a jiu-jitsu person, right?
I feel like that's an understatement, though, Mark. I mean, you were going to competitions that nobody else was going to, and like literally taking the belt.
Yeah, I remember going to a competition. You were going against brown belts as a
You're
white
like,
belt.
oh, you're like
and
speaking
sweeping
on
them
humble,
and,
like
and
this
fucking
guy.
them up.
This guy was on a championship belt tour.
Yeah, like at white belt,
Low-key.
he was just like showing up to
Yeah,
competitions.
yeah,
It was like no
100%,
coaches.
man.
It was like, yeah, I'm going to go do this competition. Like, okay, or like, is a team going? No, I just want the belt. It's a little weird, but okay.
Yeah, I like belt hunting. Yeah, but I mean, as I got like later in like my blue belt into like my purple belt promotion, especially the last year, like there's a lot of personal stuff that happened. So 2024 was rough because my grandfather passed away. And that's my pops. Like he basically raised me. So I started seeing jiu-jitsu more as a coping tool, more than like just my sport, right? So like. And it was more than just the activity, right? It became the community after, all right. And like, you know, there's this thing. It's pretty much a fact at this point. Like, people quit jiu-jitsu at blue belt because they're tired of like trying to go to the purple belt, because that's literally one of the hardest belts to get to, right? Because the stretch from blue belt to purple is like, dude, at least like
an ocean, bro.
Yeah, it's long. It's long. So, but I think at some point around 2024, there was a realization like, man, I just love being around the people I train with. And like, when people found out my grandpa died, and like a lot of people were just like, man, are you okay? You know, we're here for you. And it was nice. Like, I didn't go to practice a lot, actually. I was going like sometimes once a week, twice a week. And then I'm trying to like also work with my grandpa's like funeral service, and also work with hospice and all stuff like that. It was insane. And so I think what really kept me around even longer was that like the community aspect. So it wasn't just like competition too. It was like jiu-jitsu, like, I mean, granted, like every jiu-jitsu school has like its pockets. Like, maybe there are good people, there are bad people. But I'm under the impression like a majority of the people in the jiu-jitsu community are really, really like nice people.
And what people don't realize too is we're around each other more than family.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We're around each other every other day.
That's
the way I frame it.
Yep.
That's the thing. Like, when I really think about it, like, I'm with you guys like 3 or 4 times a week, right? At least. Some people are like 5 times. Like Bear and Epps, I see them like literally like 4 or 5 times a week, and I like, there are days like we'll go out after, you know, just to get like a drink or just to get food, and yeah, like I said, like it's crazy because like I think at 2024 I didn't give up the competition route, but I didn't prioritize it either. I was just kind of like, I need to take a couple steps back and kind of focus on my family. And then I think what really made me stay was that like my community was there for me in my roughest time, right? Like Coach Keith, like after a tournament, like I bombed Virginia Open last year, right? Because I was having this guilt trip of like, man, should I be here or should I be next to my grandpa trying to spend more time with him? And Keith was like, after one match, Keith came up to me and was like, man, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a match. I lost. He's like, no, are you okay? And like, Keith took like maybe like 10 minutes, not longer actually, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And like, he wasn't worried about cornering people. He was more worried about like me as an individual. And like I said, that actually meant a lot. He took the time to like sit down, tell me about his experience with like losing a family member, and really looking out for me, not just as his athlete, but as like a friend too. So I was really touched by that. And that made me more confident in sticking around the community. And it, because of like, you know, like we're a pretty high caliber school team, right? We got like world champions. We got people who go out there and kill it.
Yeah, we're a name.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then but then it was also like, you get the impression that like, oh man, you know, it's all about like, not like, it's all about like trying to go out there and win the next competition. No, it's like, no, my team actually cares about me. And it was cool that like I had teammates like you guys too. And I remember I was going through some shit, and like you two, like Kyle and Ronnie, you guys would even hit me up and be like, man, are you okay? Like, do you want to go grab a drink? And like, again, that's the kind of like community and reinforcement like every individual needs, because it makes it more worth the while. Like that, it makes jiu-jitsu more fun because there's accountability there. That's not based on just your skill. It's just the investment in you as a person. So I think before it was like the competition run, and it still is to this very day, don't get me wrong, but like being with people who care about you kind of like made it more like it invested me more in the community, right, in the sport, because it's like, dang, I'm around a good group of people. Why am I going to mess this up? So
I think, you know, it takes me back to a conversation I had with Keith after the transition from Ivy League to 88. And I was sitting and talking with Keith because I was coaching loosely at that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that was a time where Keith was asking me, basically, do you want to do this? And we sat down and talked. And, you know, it was like, yeah, you know, because I think from his angle, it was like, you know, Danny's your boy. So I understand if you don't want to be here. Right. was like, I absolutely want to be here. Let's move on to the next stage. And, as we got to talking, one of the things that he pointed out about our community, specifically at 88, is the support. And he was like, it may not seem it. It may not look like it on surface because I'm an awkward dude. Like when I come in, I see like pockets. I'm like, ugh, like I don't feel like I belong here.
You're like dejected.
Yeah. And like I get there, I'm just like, oh, I just want to train and that's it. And once you get into the groove of it, we're all here for the same reason. We're all here for the same reason, but different reasons. We all want to get better, but we also have our different reasons for wanting to get better. And when he kind of pointed out, I was like, there's a support here that you may not see on surface, but it's there. And then I start seeing that shit. I was like, I get it now. I completely get it. And that's not, to say anything negative about, when we're at Ivey League, because there's that support there too.
Yeah.
But it's like, because like 88 is bigger.
Yeah,
So
it's the expansion, like Ivy League, we were like a very small niche, but when we joined with 88, which was such a cool thing, and like we were, for those that don't know, like Keith was already heading up the adult competition program at Ivy League anyway, so when he took over, it was a pretty natural transition too. It's not like it wasn't Mondo Burger,
It didn't
buying out. It was a very clean handoff, and
nothing changed. He was coach
Yeah,
before he was coach again.
Team. Yeah, we just got now Keith is the owner, but
it's a hostile takeover, but I'm still here, bitch.
It's hostile, but we're gonna keep it the same.
It was welcome, really, to be quite honest. I was sad, but what do they say? Sad, happy that it happened, or whatever. What do they say? Yeah. What's the sad that it ended, but happy that it happened.
Yeah.
So that was. I understand. That was a bit of a hard time. We lost a couple guys, but I think the core, has stayed the same basically.
So it's not. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the guys that we lost, but I feel like the folks that stuck around kind of made a point with that though. It's like, you're here for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's not about the brand name. It's not about
We have a lot of loyalty, amongst the team, and that's something that I think it does kind of surprise me. Not knowing you guys personally, it doesn't surprise me, but just thinking about the longevity. I mean, we've been together for 8 years.
Yeah, we're like
just
the better part of a decade.
7 years. I mean, that's the familiarity and the camaraderie is insane.
Yeah.
There's always this thing that, I look at with the group. And like I said, I always feel like a misfit. And it's like, give it a second, you get in there, and like I said, we're there, we're going to bond over like trying to get better. But also too, like I said earlier, like we got nerds. And then that's when I'm like, oh shit, we got some nerds here. Like, let's go ahead and talk some anime. Let's go ahead and talk some comic books. It's like, and even if it's not even on that, even if it's on some just like, let's talk some life, there's always something we connect with. And I'm sure that, it's like that at other gyms. I'm certain. But like with us, it's because this is what we know. It's like, okay, like we're here. And like for the folks who were with us at Ivy League and they're no longer with us, they didn't transition over to 88. That's fine. I mean, no hate there. But also too, it's kind of like, were you really here for jiu-jitsu? Like what, like, do you love jiu-jitsu? What was there that's different that moved here? Because I know when I came in, I was like, it's bigger. So that made me nervous. I got scared. I was like, maybe I got to leave. But I was like, well, no, like my dudes are still here. And I think that's the thing is like, yo, if we move over and I'm like, I see Kyle there, I see Ronnie, I see Mark there, I see Huggy there, and Mahoney, and I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. It's like maybe I didn't care about y'all. Yeah. But I saw y'all there, and I'm like, if they're still here, I still feel like this is family. And then, then I start meeting other folks. Like, I run into Baird. Even though his foot went in my mouth, it's like, oh, I still like the guy. Like, Navarro. Yeah, he wrist locked me the first time I met him. Yeah, I still like him. It's things like that. And it's like, you know what? But it's out of love. Well, that foot in the mouth wasn't out of love. But all this shit's out of love. And that's a big thing with all of this is like, we care about each other. Like, I want to see you get better. Like, when I saw, like, you text me the purple belt picture. I was like,
oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah. And then I think you told me Kyle got promoted. I was like, fuck yeah. And I don't know. Did you tell me Ronnie got promoted? I may have saw the picture.
I told you them two got promoted. It was crazy because I texted you before anyone else, even my own girlfriend.
That's special.
Let's
make some fucking noise. Let's make some noise.
Because
You didn't have to mention that.
Stir that shit up.
Exactly like that. I didn't even know I got fucking promoted. I barely heard Keith Cowherd. And I was
When he
like,
said-
bro, that's how I was
He-
too.
it took
he
me a
picked
second
up-
to register, did it not?
He picked up that motherfucker, and
He
I'm
looked
looking at
around.
this purple belt. I was like, because I had already resigned myself. Like I've told everybody pretty much the same thing. I had pretty much resigned
Yeah.
myself. Like I had actually I already was trying to figure out my blue belt run for this year because
Same.
in 23,
Me too.
Same.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't think I was going to get it.
in 23, I competed 12 times. And in 24, I competed once at the World or Masters Worlds. And this year, we're going to try to split it somewhere in the middle. However, like at the end of the day, I wasn't really chasing it. I also had not really been training in the way that I thought I needed to in order to take that step up. And at the end of the day, if I got to step up into the blue belt division and beat the living shit out of somebody, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. I was still getting good matches at blue belt. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But when he said my name, it was one of those things where it was like the volume was down to 2. He's like, Ronnie Masgay. I was like, I even turned around. I was like, what the fuck? Who are you fucking talking to? What? There another Ronnie here? And I got up there, and when it was happening, I was like, this is still ain't no fucking way. And everybody else got brought up. You two got promoted, and I was all fucked. I was like, this is.
I think you got promoted second to me. Kyle was the first
I was
one.
the first one, which I thought was very strange. Like, he was looking around. Like, he was darting his eyes around the room, like, trying to make it look.
You were actually one of the people on my roster to get promoted.
You
right?
you were the one that
I
was
was
like,
at
that's you.
100%.
And you, like, picked me up and threw me
Yeah.
up there because I didn't know what he said. Like, he sounded like, it literally was like.
You were one of the people I actually thought. So once I heard your name, I threw you.
But you never think that. Like, I don't think that. Like, I'd be like, yeah, I suck. And
Well,
then, like,
like-
everybody else is like, yeah, Kyle, you should
Or
have got
they'll
promoted last
let
year.
me know when it's time.
Well,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cal and I, like we rolled back in November, and we were talking about it afterward, and we were talking about like our ranks and stuff. You're like, I'm gonna be a forever blue belt, and I was like, I don't know, dude. I mean, like it's like I'm a like it was
To
heavier.
be fair, I didn't say that like I'm gonna be a forever blue belt.
Well, no,
I
it
was
wasn't like-
I guess I'm a forever blue belt.
No, but
like,
it's like it's kind of like in passing, kind of talking, and it was like, dude, like I'm I'm heavier. I was like, I be fucking putting the weight on you, and like you still be finding a way out of it, and you still work your game. And I was like, dude, that shit's coming up for you. That shit's around the corner, So it's like when Mark told me, it's like not shocked. That's fucking awesome. He's there. And not that I'm the the giver of the rank, but it's like when I'm rolling with you, I'm like, I'm getting fucked up by these dudes, like pretty rough. like, can you all give them a purple belt so I feel better about myself?
I was talking to little Chris earlier, and he was like, yeah, when you got your purple belt, I was so happy because it made me feel better about like getting like destroyed. And I'm just like, yo, the scariest part about it was he was like, when you first come in and you're like a white belt, and there's like these like older blue belts, it's in there like murdering you. You like kind of look up to them, and I was like. Yeah, like I was immediately like the first person I thought it was Danny Mahoney, which I'm a Danny Mahoney guy. You know what I mean? Like
same.
as much as I am a Keith Sabula guy, as much as I am a Master Danny guy, as much as I am a Julius guy, I am a Danny Mahoney guy. And so I'm putting him over right now on record. But when I first came in, that was the guy that I looked up to, and now we're the same rank, which is. Yeah, like I don't feel like
it always feels
you know what
weird.
I mean. You don't feel like I don't feel like that's like and that's not natural to me, and that's definitely one reaction that I've had as a purple belt is I like a lot of the stuff that comes with it. It feels good to be standing in front of the line some days. It feels
Stick
good to
those
be
warm-ups.
Younger
a pass.
guys ask you questions. And stuff like, oh, people give a shit about my opinion now, and that's cool. But other than that, it's like, you got to deal with guys who are hunting you down because you get the purple belt. You got to deal with dealing with more mature purple belts who will fuck you up. You know what I'm saying?
Given the opportunity.
Yeah, given the opportunity. So it's like you take the goods with the bads. Yeah. But it's been pretty good so far.
Like I wonder, at times too when you're looking at, as you're coming up to the ranks, right? And it's like, okay, I'm here. We tend to just kind of run. We're doing our thing. But then you think about the lower ranks, those white belts under you, and then the newer blue belts. And then it's like you get to a point where it's like at some point along the line of blue belt and then going into purple belt, there's this thing of like, well, I'm a veteran. I'm a senior here. I have to kind of make an example or set an example as well. And it's like I see that with all of you. It's like when I roll with you, anytime I roll with you, there is like kind of a point where it's like, okay, this is what I should be doing. And then maybe we don't have the same game, but it's like there's an understanding of how you roll where I look at it's like, I need to connect that. And then with you, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you have your thing, like I said, deep half. And it's like you have your thing. It's like, I need to get a thing. I need to have my thing. Because it's like, as you're looking, it's like, these are the guys who are like on the mats all the time. What's keeping them on the mat and what's progressing them? It's like they have their thing. And like with Kyle, same thing. It's like that you have your thing. And it's like, okay. And granted, and this kind of put myself out there. This is fucked. I'm still a blue belt and I've been training longer than y'all. But like
5.5 years.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I'm coming up on an anniversary in April. I don't want to talk about what number that is. Because Apps always reminds me, it's like he said to me, Dante, you got to get your purple before I get my brown. Then a week later, he gets his brown. Like, fuck you, dude. Not that he knew he was getting his brown. I was like, you're a dick for that. But it's like when I look at you guys now, it's like there is kind of like this look up of like, what are you guys doing?
If he would just hurry up and fucking win the worlds, he'd already be a black belt.
He knew. He was like, I don't think I want to do this today. I think I'm just going to chill.
Fucker.
Right. But no, there is kind of that look up point, not even just from me to you, but like, from everybody on the mat, even the guys of your own ring. Cause like we talk about Mahoney, like I think Mahoney was still a blue belt when I got my blue belt. In my mind, I kept thinking, I was like, we're not the same. Like, well, there's no way we should both have the same belt. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, he and I were blue belts together, and I was like, this ain't right.
Yeah. Like I felt.
If I didn't have 70 pounds on you, these fights would go a lot different. I mean, they still weren't going great, but
like
for me anyway.
I think I had a no-gi round with him last year, and it was just after I did privates with him. So it was like, I know what you're going to do because you just taught me this. Yeah. And he still made it happen. I was like, fuck. And then we had a gi round a couple weeks ago, and it was like, in my head, it's like, dude, you've been teaching me these things the last couple months. I got you,
and
son.
He still puts it on you.
And it's like, fuck.
That's like Sergio. Like Sergio's big specialty is, and I feel like all of the coaches do it. Like I'll do it with the kids and the teens and stuff like that. Like when I'm going with like Everett or Liam, teach them something that day, and then of course it's a lot different because I've got 150 pounds on Everett, but or 100 at this point. But anyway, the point being, like I'll go with Sergio, and Sergio and I roll a lot. Oh, thank you, sir. Like off hours, and he'll show me something, make me drill it, and then we'll go live, and then he'll proceed to fuck my world up with only that series. And it doesn't matter. I'm sitting over here dancing. I'm doing everything I know is to defeat that series. Doesn't matter what it is. We could be doing K-guard. We could be doing any of that shit. But he's so much further along. I'm just sitting over here. I'm like, it's like what I envision getting too close to a black hole would be, where you just get sucked in.
The event horizon.
Yeah, the event horizon.
Man.
Like you just you can put the fucking afterburners on all you want, but your end is coming, and that happens more times than not.
I saw Sergio roll like competition Naga recently. So we did a Naga recently, and that dude's a magician. He was doing stuff I've never seen so smoothly. Like he had a Kimura inverted, and it went to like
immediately the legs.
Yeah, it was weird. He went to the legs, and it was like a knee bar or something, and it was like inverted. Kimura inverted almost to a T, and then he somehow ended up like on the legs, and I was like, what? Like, who does this?
And then the worst part is like fucking like just the reminder that like we're not at that level. I'm sitting there.
That was disturbing.
But here's the worst part, right? You look over at Keith, and it's on the video that he posted and everything.
Yeah, on the
because
Instagram.
it's not like Keith was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." Keith called the submission before Sergio did it. And said, "Just drop on it." And
he knew what to do. He knew what to do.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm hoping to God he's a black belt, but you're like,
but then it's like that. It was so crazy because the black belt.
I'd have bypassed that shit. I'd have never known.
I remember me and Bear were sitting there, and like Sergio was doing all this magic. Keith was calling all the calls, and it was like,
you can do that?
That's high level. That was high level grappling at its like. It was insane. It was so insane to watch. I was like awestruck. Meanwhile, like I'm over here struggling, getting stacked on and everything, holding for dear life.
Meanwhile, the guy like in real life is like fucking. We call him Clark Kent because he just looks like the mild.
He looks
guy
super unassuming.
And then he steps onto the mat. And fucking Superman pisses me off. But
I don't know. Meanwhile,
Sergio.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, in my first tournament, I clunked heads with my opponent, got a concussion, and had to forfeit the entire tournament.
That sucks.
That's lit. I ended up in the hospital that night, so that wasn't good, man.
My first tournament at Blue Belt was, we were supposed to be staying on the feet, and it was a Grappling Industries, and this is important only because it's round robin. Yeah, it's when I blew my knee out. So we both grabbed the cross collar grip, and this guy moved faster than I did. And what felt like only like 3 seconds to me, Keith's like, dude, you kept that grip for like 2 minutes. What the fuck were you going to do with it?
Right, what are you doing?
Right, what are you doing? Were you going to move? Because this guy took forever to take you down.
That's funny because there's only so much shit you can do off a cross collar grip.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
So if you grab it, you better know how to use it.
It's like,
and that's the thing. And we were working on it in the private lessons too. It's like this exact snap, everything that we were going through. And this guy hits the exact same thing that I'm trying to do. And I went over like a fucking fish. And this guy, but he falls at the same time. And my knee is what we fall on. And I just feel like this red hot thing, like it felt like somebody was branding my knee. And
didn't you hit the table too?
No, it was just in front of the table. So it was internal. I've got a blown out knee. The match of course, I'm stupid and I continue the match. And I've got a knee full of fluid. I can't put my knee on the ground. We have to start in turtle. This guy immediately gets a clock choke, and I'm like, all right, we're done here. And I go to walk away, and the table worker goes, you got another match. I'm like, the fuck I do. And like the guy, everybody was understanding of the fact that I blew my knee out, but of course, youthful pride, I went out and I was able to actually win that match. I fucking Sayanagi'd the guy with one leg. And
I thought you were going to say something that was not dependent on that leg.
No,
you're like, I just went inside.
Well, because I was fighting Ultra. I definitely wasn't pulling guard with one fucking leg. So anyway, this guy, had this not worked, he'd have fucked me up. This is a Hail Mary. It's the only Sayanagi I've ever hit in competition. And I get him, bread cutter him because that's the only submission I actually knew at the time. And I get off the mat. By this time, Keith's going like, that's good technique. You laid it on exactly how you're supposed to in north-south. And I didn't think to tell him. I was like, well, my knee's full of fluid and I can't bend it. So that's the only reason why I was putting the pressure on. It was like, I'll keep that in mind for when I can bend my shit again. Like, don't do that and just lay on them. But I was able to withdraw from my no-gi bracket, but it was the same thing. And then I go and I watch these two guys in no-gi, and I watched the match that I was about to have. I was like, okay, this was the smart decision.
If it's any consolation, Ronnie, so after I got the concussion, I get off the mat and I'm like, I'm feeling weird. And Keith's like, well, what do you want to do? You want to you want to continue your next match, or you want to continue your next match? You know what I mean? Like whatever. Like he's asking me how I'm feeling, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I can go into my next match. Like, meanwhile, again, like I said, I had a concussion at the time. But yeah, I think I'll fight my next match. And the lady at the table, she leans over and she's like, yeah, Kyle Prescott, you're up next. And Keith's like, give him 5 more minutes, right? And she's like, all right, I can do 5 more minutes, but no longer, you know? And then they put me in there with this dude from Hagerstown BJJ or Hagerstown MMA, whatever it's called. And I fucking immediately get kneed in the nuts. So I already have a concussion. And now I've been kneed in the nuts. And they're like, well, you have 5 minutes. And I was like, well, no, I'm good. Like an idiot, right? Again, brain damage. And I get back in there, and the dude put me in a Peruvian necktie and fucking murdered my shit. And I had to tap out immediately, like you were talking about, exactly like your story. I had to tap out immediately. I get out there, and Keith's like, what's going on with you, man? Are you okay? And I said, you know, it really hurts to look at these lights right now. And he was like, yeah, go over to the medic right over there.
Once you talk about the lights, you know it's
over.
Yeah.
And I had guess what else happened? I had a stomach ache.
Oh,
So there you go, telltale sign right there. So
Just go ahead and like chill out.
So everything that I've just described to all of you here is my entire competition career.
It's like, yeah, I think I had
One
enough
and done.
of that.
Yeah, actually, I'm not kidding. Because of that experience and also several other, you know, like I have like, you guys may or may not know this, but degenerative disc disease runs in my family.
Yeah.
And I have degenerated discs already, like in my neck, in my back.
Yeah.
So it's like a ticking time bomb, basically. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna compete. You know, I'm not gonna put myself through camp. I'm not gonna put you know, I did that at white belt basically when I was training like every day.
I mean,
and it fucked my body up pretty bad. So I just basically have peeled back even more on that.
so it's like, so you brought up, like, when it comes to training, and this is the thing like I try to tell the kids all the time, is I pretty much require them to compete one time. And that's not at white belt. If they want to get to gray belt, I pretty much require them, and I've gotten some opposition on this, but I stand on this thought process of you should know what it's like for somebody who you don't know to think it's okay to grab a hold of you and try to hurt you with people cheering, right? Especially at a school age, right?
Yeah.
So, and it changes the way that the kids not even compete, but they train instantaneously. Like, these kids immediately come back and they hit it hard. But like the competition, I mean, yes, competition makes you better, sure. Like, you're going to remember every time that you gave up a submission or every time that you got that ass beat and somebody danced all over you for 6 minutes. Like, you're going to remember that, and like, you personally are going to remember the little things that maybe if you remember exactly what you did, you're going to remember those, and those are going to be hallmark moments that
It's
allow
going to be
you
your villain origin story.
your villain origin story, exactly, right? And like, so like at white belt, I went to the New York Open, and I was going to go and do my thing. This guy pulls guard, and everything's going great. So the backstory to this is Elliot, who used to train with us.
Oh my God, Elliot was.
I know,
he
I missed
hurt
that
to train
motherfucker.
with.
Yeah. That fucking dude, like former U.S. Army Ranger.
What was up with
Dude
his
was
lockdown?
stacked. Fucking right. This guy was teaching himself the rubber.
When I did the
Electric
lockdown on you
chair.
today, that's what I was thinking about. When I locked you, I
Oh,
was like,
you were
damn,
giving
like,
me
Elliot's
Elliot.
here.
Yeah, you definitely.
Just
Yeah,
kinda
you turned into
or
Elliot today.
The
yeah.
only reason that I fucking know what the electric chair is because of that motherfucker.
Right.
And I'm sitting there. So I was supposed to have like 4 minutes before where they call my name. They said it's time to go. And I didn't stall. I didn't do anything. Elliot's on the match next to me, and Keith is coaching him actively. And this guy, I'm on the mat directly next to him. And I don't think it would have helped anyway, because at the time I was working on my pressure passing. It's white belt. I didn't have a goddamn thing dialed down. While white belt is no different than when kids go, like the
Wild
4-year-olds.
White West.
That's it. These guys, like the little 4-year-olds, they go out, they push each other, whoever falls first, that's who wins the match, right? And it's fucking adorable. So it's the same thing at white belt. It's two guys pushing each other, and they're trying to do what they think is a move, and they fall, and somebody stays on top the whole time. Maybe there's a reversal. That's it. It doesn't really change much. White belt, this guy pulls. I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm going right to my over-under. This is going to be great. I dove headlong into a fucking triangle, and I fight out omoplata. I fight out right back to the triangle, and it almost puts me out. Whatever.
You got put in the, y'all know on the recycling bins, the motherfucking arrows that go.
Just kept going around.
We was in a loop. And this guy knew what it was. Like, I'm friends with this guy to this day, and I'll talk to him every once in a while, and I haven't seen him in competition since. I don't think he competes anymore. But the 4 months later, like that was like he was talking about villain origin story. All of a sudden, I went from 3-4 days a week. It was 6 days a week, skirting work to try to make morning practices at 88 because at the time we were Ivy League, and I mean just. I'm hauling ass. I'm trying to clock as many hours as I could and just training. Well, 4 months later, the Houston Open happens, and I win all 3 of my matches. I win that. I come back, get promoted to blue.
You got promoted to blue fast as shit.
Yeah, it was 10 months.
10 months.
10 months.
I literally quoted this to Lil Chris today. I was like, yo, when Ronnie came in, it was gangbusters. 10 months, he got his blue belt. I knew it. I already knew it was 10 months. Because when you got it, I was like, fuck
blue.
This motherfucker.
Right. And then it was 4 years.
Now,
blue,
I felt that way too because I was like, fuck.
Right, which is like, then you get to blue, and then blue, right? The Keith said it. He's like, well, welcome to hell. It's like,
Yeah,
it'll take
he's
you a
right.
while. I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna do the 2-year minimum. It's gonna be fucking great. Well, life takes you out. But the kind of the thing that I was circling back to is that, especially with the kids, it has not a goddamn thing to do with like how many competitions you do or the pan or whatever. That is like showcasing everything that you did. If you're training right and doing what you're supposed to do, listening to your coach, doing whatever the thing is, or not listening to your coach, whatever. But it's the 6 days a week, the 2-a-days, the skirt and work. Like, not to advocate for getting fired for training for jiu-jitsu, but if you're training correctly for the tournament, that's what gets you better. Because, like, I mean, Epps rails on it all the time. It's like that 1,000 hours.
Yeah, the camp is the one that really like pushes you.
We can't all train like that.
Right. Well, yeah. No, I mean, realistically, I don't.
Epps is the big homie though, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
But, but it's crazy that he like.
It's like the kooky grandpa.
Yeah.
In the gym, honestly.
He is kind of the kooky.
He's the kooky grandpa.
I love Epps. He's awesome.
He'll say some shit, and it's like that all makes sense. It's coming together, and then right after that, he'll say some shit where it's like, that's borderline not okay.
And then
but the rest of the shit was okay.
Look,
Yeah.
y'all think that's fucked up? Try coaching with the guy. And then all of a sudden, Dante, you remember?
Yeah.
I was scared every time he opened his mouth. I'm like, we're
yeah.
all
Yeah,
getting
100%.
fired.
Well, there was a certain point where I would look over because I'm over with the tinies, and I see you guys is like, and you know, I see you coaching, and like when Epps had to say something, it's like, all right, do I have to be on alert to make sure, like, you know, he doesn't say something too far off? Well, okay, I can just chill because it's like because you reeled him in.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's good. Because we had another, like when we were Ivy League, and there was another coach that was there who Danny would have me kind of break it down. And I function under the idea of like, look, we're both coaches. You should be able to coach this shit too. So I would let the other coach do it. And he'd start going into these long-winded, he's like, hey, these are 8-year-olds. They don't have that attention span. Like, just say the fucking move. So, and that's where I felt like Epps was kind of like teetering. It was like he'll say some shit, and it's like, hey, like, not okay. Like, they're kids.
Oddly enough, towards the end, he's the one that helped me get into the complete opposite. The 45 to 60 seconds with the kids, right? I make them repeat whatever move we're about to do by name, and they still don't remember it, but. I love them, but damn, I wish they'd remember the moves. Anyway.
Can relate. I don't remember.
45 to 60 seconds. If I can get all of everything I need to do, the first iteration done in the first 45 to 60 seconds, I know they at least, most of them, 3/4 of them at least, saw what I had to do. The minute I start getting off into tangents, which is very something that I will do all day, and it'll take me 3 minutes to explain how this moves.
Yeah, like F's.
Like F's. All of a sudden I see the kids going, staring off into space, doing all kinds of crazy shit. But
It's not just kids.
oh yeah,
Julius called me out one time for like spacing out. The other was like looking around. He was like, "Yeah, isn't that right, Prescott?" Like literally like a freaking classroom.
you're like, shit, that's my move.
I was dressed
Right.
down. I was dressed down in front of everybody.
Since I started recording when Mahoney's explaining something, I've paid better attention. You would think I would kind of get away like with the idea like, oh, I'm recording, so I don't have to pay attention. But the problem is because I'm recording, I have to pay more attention because first of all, I got to make sure the camera is lined up. But also too, it's like whoever I'm drilling with, it depends. It's like I'm gonna have to be the first person to do this move because if it's a white belt. And sometimes my mindset is like, oh, you got to do your white belt. This is your initiation. I was like, bitch, I've been training for like a year. Yeah, still, you got to do it. So now, like with recording, it kind of forces me to make sure I'm paying attention.
Wait, are you telling me there's people who don't like being recorded?
Like, well,
I don't think about that at all.
Well, no, I'm talking about when I'm recording Mahoney do the move. Like,
Oh,
showing it to
yeah.
him. Like, so whenever I show up to like Elk Ridge, I don't record just because I don't know how people feel. And when I do Friday nights, I don't record because I don't know how people feel. Plus, those are wrestlers; they be fucking me up. I don't want that on camera.
I don't care. I don't care if somebody records. I think that's part of like. They always tell me that all the time. They say, "Oh yeah, if you record, it's it's better for your training." So I never did that. I still don't do that. And I don't know. Like I feel like I'm kind of just like, when like a fucking skier falls down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just falling perpetually and like
Until
coming
they're
off the
snowball.
mountain and
Yeah.
like getting destroyed. That's my entire jiu-jitsu career. Like in my mind, they told me like, yeah, you got to record. I never recorded.
So
They'd be like, you got to have a specific goal. I was like, I just want to get 1% better every day. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to like advocate for like the lazy man's jiu-jitsu or whatever like that because it definitely wasn't. Like I mean, I was definitely dedicated to my craft. But it's like to be promoted at the same time as Mark motherfucking Rollamas and Ronnie motherfucking Masgay. That was a huge honor for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
big.
like it actually is like fucking rad because the real truth of the matter is like, both these guys are hard roles for me. You know what I mean? Like we've been doing this a long time, but I guess I had imposter syndrome. I guess that's what really comes down to.
It's funny because like everyone who gets promoted always feels they go through imposter syndrome, and then when you could like actually roll or do a competition, then it goes out the window. Like so recently, we did the Naga, right?
yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm about to roll with some purple belt and some black belts.
Despite having fucking won a purple belt division 2 months before you got promoted to
Yeah,
purple.
that was another.
I mean, we're just gonna forget about that.
Well, you were on my
Stop competing at blue a year before you got promoted at purple.
what do you call it? You were on my spreadsheet. People who
Yeah.
definitely going to get it, and Ronnie was too. So I already had.
Yeah,
it
my
in mind.
spreadsheet was very interesting because I definitely had you two. I had some other people, but they didn't get promoted. But it was just
I missed on one.
I missed out on 2.
there was.
but
there was
I don't wanna-
I think there was one I missed.
Sure, there were reasons.
There's probably reasons. Like we don't know. Like that's the other thing. Like for real. Like I'm not trying to be sacrilegious or whatever. It's like you don't know what God's plan is. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what the plan is of our.
I don't think you
security.
should call Keith God.
Oh, he would love that. I love Keith, by the way. We don't know what they're thinking at any one time.
Absolutely.
So we gotta respect, what their
Yeah.
decision is. And so we do. Like, I'm not trying to put it out there like we're undermining nobody because that's 100% not true. But I would say that everybody here got promoted for a different reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like
I think that's what
energy.
makes this unique between us because like Dante said, like everyone's on a different track. Like I'm still on the competition track. I already competed once this year. And I think for the athletes, it's what eight times a year for the masters and adults. Yeah. So like I have to make sure I hit that criteria like every year.
What percentage of schools are running off of a program like that? Because I know our schools are pretty, prolific, well-known competition school. But like, what do you guys think is like the percentage amount of schools that are going off a metric like that and saying like, if you want to be on the competition?
So it's not that they like, because it's not required, right? Like it's just one of those things where when they say the 8 to 9 a year, it's that you're going to be competing if they're evenly spaced out, and they're not all evenly spaced out, which is more stressful. But you're roughly a month and a half in between each of your competitions, right? So you're going to you're going to go back to a lab, you're going to fix your thing, and you're going to go right back out. And even if you win dominantly, you're going to find something that you didn't necessarily like, or something didn't work, or, I've made the comment several times where I can go out and beat the ever-loving shit out of my division, and Keith and Julius will still, he'll send me a list of 10 things that I fucked up. And that was winning dominantly. That was me like feeling myself. Everything was all good. He goes, foot was out of place here. Shouldn't have done this. If this had happened, he'd have passed your guard. You should tighten this up.
It's like perfection.
Well, yeah, it's like Honda. It's like incremental steps to perfection.
Correct. Right. Exactly. Right. It's like it's the 1% better thing, and that's like.
But it does make a huge difference when you make those minute differences. Like it's crazy, because like the stuff like when you roll with one like our black belts, right? They do little small differences. So like I rode with Keith. He was actually one of my first rolls after I got promoted to purple, and he would do little micro adjustments that would basically fuck my whole day up. I rolled with Keith and I got submitted like 8 times, and I thought dang, I thought I could give my coach a better.
Keeping in mind that this guy might roll 1 time per night.
I know. I was his first roll of the day. And
you know what else he does? He looks at everybody while he does it. Like he'll be on you on like knee on belly, and he'll look at everybody on the wall like.
This is what it looks like, by the way, just in case you
need it.
That's the kind of shit that hurts me when I'm rolling with like a coach, and like it's like you're not even focusing on beating my ass right now. But you're beating my ass, like, and I don't know how to feel underneath your knee, and then
it's crazy. I know, I went with Navarro like prior to going with Keith, right? And I love rolling with Navarro. He's like someone I looked up to as a blue belt because he won pans. He's a really good grappler. And he's like someone who plays.
I didn't even know he rapped.
Who, Navarro?
Yeah,
I didn't know. I'm just finding this out now.
He's a rapper.
I don't.
Excuse me?
Didn't you just say that? You said he's a really good rapper.
No,
Grappler.
Oh, I was going to say what?
I was going to say, I was like, you go find me on Google.
No, but like, I like
looking for some SoundCloud shit.
I was like, wait, he's a rapper?
I
was like, oh,
no.
He's a rapper.
I said grappler because he's like one of the few heavyweights I see that plays
That's not as exciting.
A very intricate bottom game, right? Like some of our heavyweights just do close guard. Right, and he's willing to do spider, go for footlocks and stuff like that. So I looked up to him as a blue belt, and so like him and I had a good round, and I was like, oh man, cool. I could like, I'm doing, I'm able to, keep up and like not die. And then I go with Keith, and he submits me like 10 times, literally in 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, well I suck. I'm just gonna throw myself out the window now.
And throw my belt in the trash.
But then like I noticed every time I went with Keith, he just made small differences that like made my game suck. Like all he did was like, let me turn my knee inwards when I'm on knee and belly, and I'm like, oh, I can't breathe.
Right.
It's it's like little small differences you can't even explain, but it's like black belt magic at the same time.
I mean that's like you said, chess not checkers.
That's right.
And that's that level where you're like, I think I should be a good roll. It's like, you're not even doing a lot, and that tiny change made all the difference.
Man, I'm playing like elementary checkers. This Keith is like playing like Grandmaster Elo.
He's playing Chinese checkers.
He's playing like
3-dimensional chess.
What even is that?
He's
One of
like,
them corners and shit.
He's like playing Magnus Carlsen level chess, and I'm like, oh god, I suck so bad.
Like I always think about that in any time that like you were saying with competition for you, and like Julius has like 10 different things of what could be better, after like just dominated. And that's one of those things in my mind as somebody that's like high anxiety. It's like, okay, I think I did okay. And then when you get to like, well, you did do okay, but here's what you could do better. And it's like, that's the kind of shit that sits in my head the entire time. I was like, well, I thought I was better. I thought I could do okay. And
no, you can't. You suck. We all suck. Well, that's how mad I am.
Well, and that's one of those weird things about like my mindset with like, well, like, because it's a people pleaser thing for me, where it's like, okay, I want coach to be happy with this. Like when I roll with Mahoney, it's like he's just fucking rolling laps around me. I'm like, I know I should be better because I know what you're about to do. You've been telling us what you're doing. Well, you've been telling us what you're working on. And then as he's like just doing whatever he wants, I'm like, fuck, he's judging me right now.
My rolls with Mahoney is like a fucking dust cloud off the peanuts. Because he just
it's a scramble.
Yeah, it's not even like a scramble. It's like the most technical scramble. Like he precisely tries to pass you or entangles you, and you need to be quick, or else he's just gonna catch you on the fly.
I appreciate it.
Was like he sets the trap for you, knowing that you're gonna go to that for the scramble, and he already has it in place ahead of time. And it was like, it took me a while to realize that, and even knowing that, I'm still like, fuck, I walked right into his trap. He knew where I was going.
Up until recently, so like with like the A game, I've been trying to, up until very recently, the last like 3 weeks, I was told to, again, I try to check in with my coach every month, right? Just see how things are going, especially being that I haven't trained as much and I'm doing more like off schedule sessions than I am on schedule sessions. We'll talk about it. And, basically I wasn't allowed to do A game for up until about 3 weeks ago. Well, I was allowed to go right back to it. I was going with talking about Mahoney. I'm going with Mahoney, and he's like, I thought I didn't tell him. He's like, I thought you weren't allowed to do over under, and I'm like, I'm not doing shit. It's like I'm gonna sit here and lock your ass down for a second because my big out of shape, non cardio having ass is not about to sit over here and cartwheel.
Yeah, he'll go airborne, man.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here. I was like, flying squirrel jiu-jitsu. The fuck? No, I'm not doing this. We're here. I'm not going to be able to hold you long, but I'm going to be able to at least get about 3 breaths in, and then we can go right back to the shit that we were doing.
I feel like that's what my style used to be. I feel like my style used to be like flying squirrel jiu-jitsu for real. But I can't do that shit no more, man. Like after all the, you know what I mean? After all the injuries, after all these things, like I've turned into a pressure passer now. Like actually,
you have to.
It's for everybody, baby.
It is for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Oh,
baby.
airborne shit ain't for everybody, but pressure passing is for everybody. So I'm just putting it out there.
He's like, I hate pressure passing. I was like, I hate to tell you this, but everything you do is pressure passing.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't do over under. I was like, that is in fact not the only pressure.
Bro, that's
pass.
the best. That's the best compliment. You got good pressure, man. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment, right?
I stay thick.
There you go. There's your IQ test, guys, out there. If somebody tell you got good pressure, then you're winning, bro.
Like after doing the privates with Mahoney, all we worked on initially was pressure. Pressure. Then when I would come back the following week and I'm pressuring, and when people are like, dude, you're pressure, like it's getting better. It's crazy. It was like, okay, then it's fucking working. Like that's what I want to hear, because like there'd be points where it's like I felt like I had the pressure. It was like, no, you need to push off your toes. Yeah. Like when I'd be there, I felt like I was pushing off my toes, but I wasn't. It's like you got to drive, and then it turned into like you got to get a specific point with your shoulder or with your hip, and it's like, oh shit. And then once I start realizing that, so then when I would get people saying, yo, your pressure is much like it's fucking intense, it's like, huh, like good. Like I didn't care about anything else in the roll. I just wanted to make sure my pressure was on point. Like, oh, you fucking missed that back take. I don't give a fuck. I got a good pressure though, right? Like, yeah, but you fucking missed the back take. And then you got swept.
Heavy, didn't it? Right. Yeah.
Like, but did I feel heavy? Yeah. Well, like, fuck that sweep. I don't care that you swept me. Like, I was heavy. And that like, because that's my whole mindset. Is like, work on one. Like when I would roll with CH, right. I want to take one thing away from him. One thing each week. And he could get everything else. I don't care. But if I could take away his ankle pick, all right, I feel good. Oh, he's still going to fucking get me to the ground another way. That's okay. I'll work on that next week. But it's like those little things that make us better. 1%
Well,
better.
there's also some stuff that's just inevitable. Like he's gonna try to ankle pick you. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna want to try to get away from that. And so, I mean, I would say the same thing. Like some days I'm like, all right, I'm keep getting stuck in this position. How can I deal with it? So like we'll use CH for an example. So as a reference, CH is like well respected, high level purple belt that fucks everybody up, right? So he hits everybody with this ankle pick, and like we've all been hit with this ankle pick.
Yeah.
How many times you been hit with the ankle pick, Mark?
A lot. So I just pull immediately.
Everybody knows, right?
I kind of give into
that's
it.
just
That's
part
our
of being
gripping
smart.
thing is like because I'll stay on the feet with them, and I love staying on the feet with for that exact reason. But that's like the one thing, and I've been hit with that ankle pick. You know what's coming is the worst part, and I
That
know
was
he's
my
gonna
whole point of
pull.
bringing it up.
I know the grip that he's gonna get.
Keith even said it's like a good black belt level ankle pick, and I'm like, that's a really good.
Okay,
compliment.
well, all right.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's something else Keith said. One time, we all were talking about fearing the ankle pick. This exact conversation, okay? And this is what Keith said, and I quote this, and you can chisel this in stone on the slab like fucking Moses. Here you go. He said, "CH is only a man. He's only a blue belt, right? Like he was like he can be beaten, right?" And I'm like, and here's the thing, like that's not trying to be deprecating to CH because like that's what he is a man. He was a blue belt, but like the point was like he was saying like y'all are shook of this ankle pick,
This fucking ankle pick.
and like you need to fight this man like you can win. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like
that
y'all are
actually
being bitches. Like Keith he's a man's man. He's telling us we're bitches in a coded fashion.
it's crazy because like that's another guy that for more background on that particular individual, that's a guy that does not compete. He has not competed in the entire time that I have done
But he's
jiu-jitsu.
bad as hell.
Yeah.
He did
He's
He's
DC.
killing everybody.
competed before.
He did DC.
No, no,
He
no.
has
So
before,
he has,
but he's
but-
not a regular.
But what I'm
Yeah, he's
what
not
I'm
a
saying is in the time, because I just asked him last week, he has not competed in the entire time that I have personally trained jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
it
I
has
think
been
it's-
over
I think it's-
6
There you
years.
go. I've
Six.
never
Oh,
seen him
I
compete.
thought it was going to be like 7 or 8.
It's been a minute. It's been over 6 years. So my point being is like, but this guy,
But he's a
trains
hardcore
and drills.
hobbyist, like you said, Dante.
Yes,
Sorry.
but it does, and it doesn't stop you because like I even in the like, no, I'm gonna say height of competition. Like I actually took any kind of titles or some shit. I'm still at the time I was a blue belt, but this guy he didn't develop that ankle pick until like maybe the last year and a half, and he just drilled it. I mean, I've seen guys in competition try to hit that thing, and I've never gotten snuck by that
Snook.
goddamn technique. Only because of that. Because that guy he drops it when he pulls like he's pulling closed guard, and he pulls all the way till his ass almost hits the ground, and you're convinced, oh, he's going down. No, fuck that. He's dropping right down to your ankle and somehow is able to transition. No, I'm not saying no one else does that. I'm sure somebody at Black Belt
I
does.
tried it
but-
on Lil Chris this morning. I got close, but I didn't get it.
Right, but because
I tried it also
CH
on
is out here
Saturday.
hitting it on everybody, you're like, okay, I've seen it. But like the number of guys like that, and not to talk my thing up, but it's like the over under. The number of guys on the heavyweight side who have gotten passed by over under in competition is like non-existent. But because you guys got to deal with it every single night. When was the last time one of us got beat by a lasso?
When last time I got beat by lasso?
In competition.
In competition.
Oh, when was the last time you saw a heavyweight guy get beat by a lasso in competition?
I beat someone with the last.
No, but I'm saying got beat.
Got beat.
Like when
Couldn't pass it.
when one of us.
Right. After having had that shit put on us and beat on. Right, exactly. Right? Not
Yeah.
in living memory. Not saying that somebody couldn't do it, right? Like if I, again, you step up in belt, sure. But it's like, you know, if I'm in competition, somebody throws a lasso in, you're like, all right, awesome. Well, this is,
Yeah, but we're used to that though.
We're-
because
yeah.
of our game. Yeah,
we're used to it.
I'm not
You dive
especially
into a-
scared of a lasso either, to be quite honest with you.
Right, but
I'm
then,
just a hardcore hobbyist, right?
right, and that's my point. Is like, but if somebody throws all of a sudden like the difference, right? Like we don't have a rubber guard guy in the gym.
No, we don't
Yeah.
do like
That's a
anything-
weird one to have to deal with.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
Remember, there was this weird thing in competition where everyone was getting baseball choke.
Baseball bat choke.
Yeah.
I got
Everywhere
baseball
you go.
bat choke today. God damn it!
But it was like, but it was one competition. Literally, like 3 or 4 people got baseball bat choke. By
One of our
like,
headlining girl
No.
competitors got hit in
No.
6 seconds, like off the break. It was like boom, boom, handshake, grips, gone.
Yeah.
She was out.
and then it happened to another person that same tournament. And then it
You
happened
talked
again.
about that you
Another
can't have the
tournament.
back patch on there in the shot and all that shit. It was bad.
It was literally like 3 or 4 people within like a week or 2 weeks of baseball bat chokes, and we were like, "Well, we're gonna fucking learn this."
Well, and that's one thing
whole
I
curriculum.
We're
always.
talking about France, right? We're on the same.
No,
shit,
this was
right?
Atlanta.
This
This
was
was
Atlanta,
Atlanta?
and it
Oh,
also
shit.
happened in Dallas, I think.
Oh,
It was like
I
back to
I
back.
literally thought you guys were talking about somebody else. I'm just gonna
No,
shut
no,
up.
this happened.
No,
Yeah,
So,
because I had somebody else in my mind.
That's one thing that I always kind of think about training at our gym, because like we train certain things, so we know these things.
Yeah, we
so
also
like,
know each other's game too.
Yes,
And
well,
I love that.
so when you and I went to Rising Tide, I think, right, and you know I'm just doing jiu-jitsu, you know, and like you pull me over. It was like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing out there? I've never seen that Dante before. And it's like, well, yeah, because you motherfuckers know how I roll. So when I do what Dante do, I was just like, this is what fucking Dante does. Just fucking knock him over. He's going to fall eventually, but they didn't know that there. And then that's when you're like, you should probably compete. And I was like, no, I'm all right.
That's
Like,
something that's hard to articulate
I'm
too.
good.
Like the actual, like really knowing somebody else's game. You might not even be able to verbalize. Like if you were like, "Oh yeah, what's Dante's game?" Like I don't even know if I can verbalize it to you, but I
don't know
know
what my
it
game is.
when I'm in there.
my
you
body
know?
knows
Do you-
what
do you know
everybody
what
in the
I'm
room
saying?
is gonna do.
Yeah, like I react and it's mostly pressure because it's like, well, look, I'm not like fancy, but I know I can get heavy as fuck, and I'm gonna make you miserable. But I
It's
don't
more than
know.
just moves. It's like the way your body reacts and stuff too. It's
Yeah.
Well, does anybody remember about a year ago we had a brown belt come and take and visit, and he comes in and ended up being a clinic for this guy. Actually, it was more. I think it was closer to a year and a half ago, but Mark steamrolls this guy. Keep in mind, it's all blue belts, right? Mark
the
steamrolls.
blue ocean.
Kyle steamrolled the guy. They were in the same. This guy's an MMA, more of an amateur MMA guy, but anyway, blue or brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's gi night. We're going at it. Mahoney beats the ever loving hell out of him, and then this guy comes in.
He does.
And oh, this was bad. This guy comes in and he was talking shit like the entire time. It's like it wasn't like disrespectful, but like I could tell the guy was like, all you got is blue belts for me. By the time I get a hold of this guy, he's just looking at me like, what the fuck did I walk into? Right? He didn't know what it was, but he basically took L's all night and comes up to Keith later and he goes, I don't know what you're feeding these fucking guys, but I don't know what to do for you.
I actually, and I don't know, maybe this is kind of like a masochist thing, but I enjoy when we get visitors.
Oh no!
We
The
just
Shark Tank.
No, yeah, I mean, basically, he wants a battle, and he wants to test our gym. So when we go in there,
That's messed up because here's the thing.
And
I'll be dropping in, like I'll be vacationing and like dropping in other gyms and all stuff like that. And like my hope is they don't treat it like that. Like, oh, we're gonna test this belt.
But the reason
don't
reason
mind
why
that.
you probably don't roll into a whole lot of like asshole situations is you're probably not dealing with like an asshole. Like the one guy who came and visited
actually,
us was
the
like,
problem is, Ronnie, that I just beat them up and.
right, yeah, you just got to go in there and you got to fuck him up.
And
But,
I don't have to worry about him testing my belt. Too
but
much
like the one
because-
guy who comes in and visits, it was two guys, right? The one dude was like a super jiu-jitsu hippie, which is fine, whatever. But the other guy was like, I'm a competitor. I just want to see if, like he told Keith, he's like, I just want to see if you have anybody who's worth my time. This is a blue belt. I was like, all right,
don't do that.
awesome. You're, whatever. I mean, not that I didn't find this out until later, but like this guy basically does a who's who of who's in the room. This is a 21-year-old guy. Epps gets a hold of him and beats the living fuck. I don't know if he said something to Epps, but I've never seen anybody get disrespected by Epps so hard.
I don't know, Ronnie. It was this one time. What happened? You got fucking kicked in the nose or something like the round before, and then the next round he tries to hit me with his over under. Ronnie's like very famous for his over under.
Oh shit!
I did the thing where you put your wrist bone in the nose and lift their face up.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? And he got so fucking mad that he tried to double under me, and he was like really fucking starting to stack me. So I was able to kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like wiggle my way down like back to it, and then like so he backs up off it, and then he just dives back down on that guard pass, and we're right next to Keith, and Keith's like, God damn, like what the fuck did Kyle do to him? So I mean, like he was going hard like a fucking, I don't know,
I don't know what you're talking
a
about.
badger or some shit.
I fight like a little guy.
So then, right. Yeah, right.
You get so emotional.
So no, he did.
Boy,
and
yeah,
then,
when you get
and
your
no,
fucking nose broken and everybody
it wasn't
defends
broken. But
nobody, right? And well, I will say that Kyle's 100%.
what was I
right.
supposed to do?
There's only one way to there's only one set of defenses to that.
Right,
pass.
I gotta drag your head from one side
Right.
to the other.
And
So
CH
how am I gonna
does it-
do that, guys?
CH says it every time I fucking do it. He's like, I don't understand how you just opted for what had to be the hardest path to passing a fucking guard in jiu-jitsu. He's like, I don't understand. It's like you didn't think any of this was easier, so you haven't figured it out yet. You got the purple belt, and you haven't figured out an easier way to fucking do it. I was like, it took me until purple belt to figure out how to hide my nose. That's about it. It's like now they grab my fucking eye socket, and I'm getting
That's
black eyes and
diabolical.
shit.
I don't know.
That one, that's fine. But I signed up for the rest of it. So anything that's happened to me in the over-under is my fault.
I mean,
Yeah, well, what's my point? Was that it wasn't until after the fact it was like, oh, my eye or my nose hurted. That was basically the like my nose hurt.
I'm only human.
Yeah, he's like, you're fucking putting your wrist in my nose. Well, don't go in that over under, motherfucker.
I think
That's why we've had to learn the Ciabatta pass. It's like,
Yeah,
as soon
yeah.
as I get hit in the nose, we're popping up.
I think that's the thing, though. Again, at our gym, though, we know the things. You go anywhere else with the things that we know, and it's like, oh shit, And somebody comes to our gym, and it's like the one guy, like, I want to see if you got anybody,
Worth my time.
It's like, first off, don't fucking do that.
That's
Like-
crazy,
like-
actually.
like,
Why
just
would
come-
you say anything? You're a guest.
So like when Alan from Ireland, the purple belt, came
fucking
through,
crazy.
he was chill. Yeah. Alan was real chill. He came in, he's watching. He was like, okay. And I mean, granted, I think he only rolled with us. He might have rolled with one other
I
person.
think it was just us two.
And it was like, he was cool about it. And it's like, but he didn't come in talking shit. It's like, it's like, all right, you come in, because that's, as a guest, you just come in. You like,
Right, you're
you out there and
dropping
just
in.
roll. Like when I went out to a gym out in Virginia.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I went in there. I was friendly. Got out there on the mats. Had a good time. And then went to another gym in Virginia. That wasn't friendly. Like, everybody had a turn on me. I don't know what that was. But like the first gym I went to, like I had a turn on everybody else. But I went to this other gym in Virginia, and it was like, but there was no shit talking. It was like I came in, super humble, because that's just, you're a guest. You come in and you be cool and just fucking get your rounds.
Some of these, yeah.
We've had some black belts come. So like one of the guys from that team's not important, but it's a team out in Virginia, and
Virginia, we coming for you.
That's it. I mean, we see this guy all the time, and I know he's trained a lot with us in the past. But like, he came in. This guy's a whole black belt. He's fought, I believe, in the UFC on the MMA side of things.
Yeah.
But guy was fantastic. But at no point in time did he come in. He's like he was doing a walkthrough at 88. I was there in the morning, and he was like, "Hey, I'm here for work for the week. Can I come in? I just want to get some work, right?"
Yeah.
And He wasn't disrespectful.
Right.
He wasn't an asshole. He didn't say anything. Had it not been for the fact that I've seen him in every local tournament, because he drops into every expert, or at the time he was dropping into every expert division.
Does he own a gym?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Colton. Is it Colton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was,
Yeah. that
I
guy's-
couldn't remember
he's
his name
super
to save my
sweet.
life.
Yeah.
Right. But it was super nice. Like,
Yeah.
I never had a problem.
He's done a seminar for us like a long
It's
time.
so easy to do. You literally just be respectful.
Yeah.
Right, just come in and be a person.
Just be cool.
But you know, some gyms I will say are like built to be like that. Not like I remember I was visiting a gym. I mean, not visiting. I was like on vacation in Florida,
Yeah.
and I actually ended up just finding a gym. I just Googled it. I was like, all right, well, what's a MMA or jiu-jitsu gym I could go to? So I went to one, and like, I didn't know how to line up in their gym or anything. The guy was like, oh, you don't have enough cauliflower. Get in the back of the line. I was like, all right.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
He literally said that. And I was like, all
Oh,
right.
great.
So then I was like, all right, well, I don't know. So I ended up like, drilling and doing stuff. He put me with a white belt and everything. So then I ended up triangling and omoplating all his white belts because I started playing Spider. And then he was like, all right, well, why don't you go with these guys? And it ended up being like blue and purples. And I ended up playing Lasso and Spider with them. And they were just getting swept left and right. And he was like, all right, let's go around. And I'm like, all right, well, fine, fuck it. Let's do this. And then
Right.
I ended up like passing his guard and everything. And he was just like surprised. He was like, what the fuck? And I was like,
And you were a what belt at this time?
I was only a blue belt. I was only like 2 years in. He didn't really like ask for my belt or anything. He kind of just said like, oh, because I lined up. I was just like, how does everyone lined up? And he was like, oh, you don't have enough cauliflower here. I was like, all right, well, I guess.
That's such a
You mean your guys don't suck? Or your guys suck?
Yeah, it's like,
As
look,
somebody
I
who
don't- I
has
don't
more
understand
cauliflower
that at
ear
all.
than any
Yeah.
one person should have.
I don't understand that at all. Some people are just prone to it. Some people just don't really get it like that. I got a
Well,
little bit. He got a lot of it.
So I got a lot of it, and it's only because until that pressure passing got real good, it was real bad, and I ended up in triangles a lot. And my triangle escapes are pretty good because of this. Only because end up there a lot. The problem is that on the way down, you end up having to do it like a big guy and rip your head out. There's certain triangle escapes where you're the only thing you're going to do is you're going to push the fucking triangle off.
There's a
And
bit of trauma coming from me.
yeah,
yeah. Some of the people in this room have.
Well, look, hold on. I can't even shoot triangle anymore because I don't want to get stacked on my neck no more. Because I told you I got a fucked up neck. So I used to shoot triangles. There used to be a day where I could walk around and Mark used to say, "I fear your triangle."
Well, this was white belt or like early blue belt days. This was like
Yeah, if you could shoot a good
When-
triangle and finish it,
when Chrissy
everybody
was
was scared of you. The only person I couldn't triangle was fucking Dante because you don't have a neck.
yeah.
I thought you got
not
me.
exist.
I thought you got me recently though, right? Like a few months
In a
back.
triangle?
I
No,
thought.
that was a bow and arrow.
Well, I know that, but I
Damn.
thought you had. Well, maybe it was you had me in a triangle.
No,
and it was
I
like,
didn't finish it. Maybe I did.
I can't even finish you in
I
a
don't
triangle.
know.
Yeah, 'cause you
I
wrist
got
locked me,
CTE,
dick.
man.
and you were about to finish the triangle. That's the thing. I was about to tap.
I didn't think there was going to be a triangle, so I just wrist
So
locked
this doesn't say tap because my hand went up and you're like, oh,
Oh,
cool.
damn.
And you just wrist locked me as I'm about to
on
tap.
that bullshit. Hey Dante,
Oh,
how do you feel
now
about
you
it?
sound like you're going through some trauma.
I am. No, I
Yeah,
bring that shit up
yeah,
every other
flashbacks.
podcast. I bring that shit up all the time because it's like, yo, we're friends. I was about to tap and he just grabbed my hand and wrist locked me.
That's just savage. I don't know why.
Like,
Because it was like the first thing was it's a I guess an inverted triangle. It wasn't a typical one. So
Yeah, and the arms hanging
yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't think I had it tight enough because you're right. Like you
I was in a bad spot.
The worst decision I ever made was I tried to triangle one of our teammates and it was there. I had the arm dragged straight. You know, part of what we're supposed to do is you're supposed to ever cognizantly, especially if you're competing in the IBJJF, you try to stay relatively cognizant on what your points are at the given time, right? Like even if you're giving it up, because at a time, like guys would sweep themselves and that was a big ass problem.
I will say on the competition route, you also got to know what you can and can't do.
Especially what you can and can't
And
do.
I've been told so many times in competitions against ultra heavyweights, don't triangle them.
So, but it was there. I was lasso spider. I dropped into it. I got it. It was fantastic. But it's been one of those things where you're like, it doesn't matter. That's the one guy who actually taught me the third law face. That thing where you just look the same the whole time. They could be putting you out. It doesn't matter.
I think that's the thing though too. It's like
lucky as shit.
When we're you know what you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do. It's like even when like with me with like my stubby neck. That's one of those things where it's like you're still gonna go for it, right? Is like you still gotta put the effort in there. You still gotta make the threat.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just that like with Mark, he'll go for the triangle knowing what it is, but it's not even that he wants the triangle. He's transitioning to something else. And there's a presence of mind there though. You have to be aware of like I'm just doing this for a setup. Whereas there's some folks is like that don't know. It's like I went to Nogi the other day and there was a lot of white belts in there trying to shoot triangles on me. And I was just like, oh my Lord, like kid. And, then just turned into like, okay, over under, let me get out of here. And, I wasn't fucking around, wasn't being a dick or anything. So I was like, okay, let's work. But it's like another triangle. Okay. Let's do the work. Let's go through it. Whereas like, if you're throwing a triangle, it's like, I know it's more than a triangle. It's like, you're not there for the triangle. You're there for something else. And I'm like, okay. Like I got to figure out what he's going to next because
it's a good reason. It's a good thing that you bring that up because one of the things that I notice with a lot of the people is the same thing I noticed with the kids. They want to win a certain type of way, so they'll pass 7 other ways to win. Mm-hmm. To win in the way that they had chosen to begin with, right? So, like, I've got a kid who will shoot a triangle, or they try a Kimura, past everything else. I'm like, you could have 2-on-1 dragged to the back. Mm-hmm. You could have triangled. You could have armbarred. And this kid's giving you everything.
I mean, that's essentially
and
what it is.
And they know you're going for a Kimura, too, so it's the one thing you're not getting.
I mean, I thought this was one of the biggest things about going from blue to purple was that, in blue, you need to have that one game plan. But as you transition to purple, it's like you need to know everything else. And you need to be able to execute it, right? So, like, everyone says, like, oh, pressure passing. But, like, I've always thought that, like, that could be your game plan. But you should still be able to do other things. Like, for me, I'm big on split passing, actually, the split pass series, right? But I'm also, like, big on Chibata passing, too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've all had that beaten into us like crazy.
Yeah, no shit. I wonder why.
And I'm telling you right now, if you ask me the same question, I'd be like, well, I'm big on pressure passing right now. I'm, over and under passing and double under passing. Everybody. Oh yeah, exactly. That's my point.
I mean, that's basically what we're.
So then I'll go into that. Is my point. It's like if I'm jumping around trying to maybe get like a nice speed pass, finesse pass, whatever. If I get both hands on to your hips, your legs, whatever. I'm gonna start into that Chibata pass.
Everyone should know that by now, right?
Yeah.
Everyone should
absolutely.
know that.
Yeah,
it should be. It doesn't have to be your.
That's like knee cut.
But like I was talking to like one of our blue belts the other day. Like we were going over the triangle escapes.
Yeah,
and they're trying to find every way. They're like, so what do you do next? And I'm like, well, for what exactly position you're ending up in, it's over under. He goes, well, I don't want to do that. I was like, so I'm going to give you something right now. I was like, stop wanting to do a goddamn thing because it really depends on where you are. If you look
what your
at,
opponent's doing.
Right. Yeah. If you look at the black belts in the absolute, if a featherweight gets a hold of a super heavy and he's going to pull guard, does the featherweight not pull guard? Sometimes. However, his game plan is his game plan also by the time you make it to black belt. Everything you got's pretty good. So these guys, it doesn't stop them from ending up in a pressure pass. If a pressure pass is there and the guy's wide open, it happens all day, every day, right? You'll see it. You watch any black belt worlds, guys will go outside of their game plan all day long.
You
It's
got to
not
be
like
flexible. You got to be flexible.
You got to be flexible. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like just because it's not what you want to do. It's like we have guys complaining about pressure passing all the time. They're like, I don't want to learn over under. It's like just learn it and get it to the point where it's functional at your belt level, and then fucking move on like everything else. Because at the end of the day, so what happens? You end up in the position. You have to go to deep half, and the guy just falls over, and you can't win the match because you can't complete a fucking pass that you should have learned at blue belt.
You have to learn other positions. I don't care what anybody says. You might not use it ever in your life, but you got to know if somebody hits it on you.
This K-guard bullshit is the bane of my motherfucking existence.
I love K-guard.
And I'm fucking fat. It's hard. And I'm sitting over here as like that's what I'm trying right now. It's K-guard to matrix hook. If there's anything I'm not built for, it is that fucking transition.
Is that what you're working on?
That is what I'm working on right now. Is what I was told to work on.
Noted.
And noted. Right, exactly. And it is. But I'm finding now the magic behind it is I'm finding fucking matrix hooks everywhere, and I'm going for them, and they're stopping a lot of shit. And my big ultra heavy ass should not be throwing matrix hooks, but it's fumbling guys in the room, which means it's going to fumble guys in competition.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is perfect. But to that point, if I only ever stayed inside of my half guard, my deep half, my lasso, my system that I already have, and my lasso deep half system, which I love absolutely, or just in the one form of passing I ever have, purple belt might be the last belt I ever get. I mean, because at a certain point, I'm going to go into brown belt, and I'm going to compete against somebody, or I'm going to roll against somebody who knows what they're doing. And if they don't fall exactly into my game plan, I'm fucked. The way I think about the belts is that your funnel should just get wider to get exactly to your game plan. You should be able to just, from no matter what the position is, you should be able to get them back to where you want them to be.
Well, that's like I was telling a white belt just today. You know, he approached me in another, I think another purple belt actually, and said, you know, the practice was over and everything, and he was just like, "Hey, do either one of you guys want to roll?" And I was like, "No, we got to actually." What the fuck? It was Dante.
Yeah,
I'm stupid as shit.
Relax, my
So Dante.
It's like, call him out.
I was like,
Get
another
his
purple
ass.
belt. Actually, so it was me and Dante, and we got off the mats. It was after the practice was over, and the white belt was like, "Hey, do either one of you guys want to roll with me?" Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Yeah, we're actually about to go record a podcast right now. We got to go. So sorry, blah, blah, blah." But then I said, you know, that's a really good mindset to have, is like, you know what I'm saying, ask everybody to roll. You should roll with everybody. You should roll with everybody. That's my opinion. I think, you know, there is a principle, though, that I like that Keith talks about this, Julius talks about this, about how sometimes you want to roll with somebody that's not your same belt level because it's more comfortable.
You want to get, you know, you want to
even
have
if
that.
it's a higher belt.
Yeah.
Because you want to be comfortable with the higher belt, because if you get beat, well, it don't matter if you got beat, because you got beat by a higher belt, or they're going to show you up in some way that you're already expecting. If you fight somebody in a lower belt, then you're more expecting to get your offense in. But if you fight somebody at the same belt as you, the match that is the closest to your actual skill level, there's then becomes ego involved.
One of the things I always think about when I'm rolling. So on Saturdays, typically, I think today I didn't roll with CH first because Rich had to leave. So it's like he only had one roll. I was like, I'll take that roll. But usually I'll line up for the CH first. And it's not even so much about like I want that challenge. It's more like, look, we're here. We're going to get to it eventually. You know, it's like there's no running. You know, I don't want to run from you. So let's go ahead and get this roll in now. Like, first off, I got full energy, number one. And then number two, you know, whether we happen to roll later, whether we happen to roll now, let's get the roll in. It's like, you know, I don't look at it as like this is going to be my toughest roll, or, you know, this is the challenge. It's like, look, this is a roll where I'm about to learn something. Whether it's like I'm learning what I'm capable of, or I'm learning how to defend something that he's going to throw at me, because he throws a lot of shit at you. So you're always having to work. But, you know, one of the thoughts that I always have too when it comes to like techniques that I'm not going to typically use that we're drilling or learning is like, I may not use that move, but I got to defend that move from somebody else that's going to use it. Like, especially someone like you, and this motherfucker across from me over there. Like,
I'm trying to be in a position of always attacking. You know what I'm saying? That's like a big point of my style. Like Ronnie, this motherfucker will wait. He will manipulate. He will gravitate, and make it suck the whole time, and then he'll get your ass in the end.
I just gotta tire you out. It's only gotta work.
Mark has a ton of tricks up his sleeve for sure. Like he can get you from any position, that's for sure. But I'm like Fire Nation, bro. I'm always attacking, man. I'm like always like
gotta get on that ass.
Yeah, I'm on it. Like I'm on it, bro. That's like, remember Master Dan used to say like a dog on a chew toy.
Should be on it.
Well, and that's one of the things when I roll with you, it's like I know I'm going to be in a defending position. So it's like either I have, and there's been a couple rolls where I attack first. And it's like, all right, I got to get him first. But like more often than not, I'm so used to defending. It's like, all right, I'm going to counterattack. So whatever you throw, I'm just going to play off of that. But I'm working myself to a mindset now where it's like, let me beat him there first. Because if I make you work, now you got to think about what I'm going to do. The unfortunate thing is I don't have a lot of weapons there. So I'm like, all right, well, like, you know what I got there. So it's like, I'm going to do it. And you're like, all right, well, we can play that. But as it expands, because like I said, a lot of times I learn stuff to defend. But like from time to time, I might learn that thing to like, hey, I can probably attack. Like we've been working a lot of De La Riva lately. It was like, I've been learning De La Riva just so like y'all can't do De La Riva on me. But now I've been like, oh, wait a minute.
You play De La Riva though.
I pretend to play. Like I'll posture. Like I'll make you think I'm going there, and I'm like, just kidding. Like I didn't really want to do that, but now I'm getting more comfortable. So it's like now that I know it's there, it's like, so now it's like, oh, he's not really gonna go De La Riva. Gotcha, bitch. Guess what?
Gotcha, bitch.
I got one more step here. Now we're going crab ride. Gotcha. But you know, when it comes to any of y'all in here, like as we're talking, when I think about my roles with each of you, and Ronnie, it's been a minute. I'm gonna have to change that. But like when I think about any of my roles with any of you, it's always for me thinking it's like when I look at Mark, it's like, all right, I know he's got something different that I gotta fucking deal with, and you're strong as fuck. And that's not even like in the compliment or the insult of like,
trunk,
yeah, it's the legs.
You're not seeing this. This man's legs are like goddamn brontosaurus.
I look at this motherfucker like an NFL
I don't
running
understand
back.
it, man.
Beefy.
I don't understand it. And
Like-
rolling with him, you will not feel it the next day. Like he is like such a gentle, technical roller. Like you know, like even when he's pressuring you. So he's the man.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, and that's one of the highest compliments though too, because he's fucking you up in such a nice way.
I just got to balance it out. Mark, you suck. No.
No, not at all. Like he's gonna pressure you, but like he's not gonna fucking take liberties, and he's not, and he's gonna have a technical match.
Well, except
like,
for
absolutely.
wrist locks and triangles. That's the only time he'll
He'll
take
be
a liberty.
wrist locking and triangling.
He be wrist locking me in triangles.
Oh
apparently.
well, shit.
I have the video.
Oh, all right.
That shit's
Not
in
the
4K.
receipt.
He got the video.
It hurt. Like I have pride.
Yeah, I don't mind wrist locking people. I almost wrist lock Epps today and some other people. It's like if it's there, you should learn how to take it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you're in the room, and but I mean it's true though. Like,
Bunch of 30-year-old men. Just fucking started
but it's like
chugging.
it's true. If you see the opportunity, you're not doing them their due diligence, right? Because
That's right.
They need to get punished for it.
They need to learn not to let that shit be there.
Is that a like don't bend over in prison kind of moment?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Never drop the
It's
soap.
actually the same, indistinguishable.
God damn.
Was like last week during Nogi on Friday night over there at Savannah Park, one of the white belts. And I feel bad because his wrists were taped, and I didn't think about this. He had his wrists. I wasn't thinking about
Should
it.
have been talking shit.
but I went for Kimura, and like it was back. He wasn't tapping, so I was like, all right, well, fuck it, you know. So I wrist locked him, and it was like a quick, like heavy tap. Like I was like, my bad, dude. Like, and I said my bad because I saw his wrists were taped. I was like, oh shit, I'm so bad. And then we reset. And not thinking about it, just instinctively went back to the wrist lock.
I don't feel bad about that at all. You know why?
Don't tape.
I have a logical reason for this. If you tape one wrist, there's a reason why you never tape one wrist at a competition, even if like one
Shows
wrist
what
is
the
broken.
weak wrist is.
Right? Yeah. It's like this.
Oh, no.
Like grab this, fuck this up. If you're gonna tape your wrist, you got to understand that guys are gonna go for it. And in competition, guys don't give a
Oh no.
But as a matter of
No,
fact,
they're going for it.
That's
I
a
got two
bullseye.
guys going, two standing wrist locks that you would never go for.
I did New Jersey Open last year, last before summer, and some guy just kept putting his wrist there, and I kept trying to wrist lock him the entire time. But the reason why I kept trying to wrist lock him is because he kept headbutting me the entire match.
Oh, no, he
dick.
earned it. He
So
earned
that was like a kind of like, hey, if you get wrist lock,
I mean, if
but
they
it,
give it to you, fuck them.
but it set me up for the Kimura anyway. So I was like, let me just take this. But during the Kimura, I was ready to just bend his wrist the other way while I had the Kimura, and just wrist lock him because I was feeling a little petty.
I love wrist locks. They're great. They're very versatile.
So to be fair with this cat last week, both his wrists were taped.
Yeah.
I just kept going for the left one because it was like I feel like that's the one, and it was. I don't know. Maybe his right wrist was fucked too. I don't know, but I wasn't worried about his right wrist. His left one was available every time.
That's not your problem. Don't leave him behind. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I mean, I was going for the Kimura. You should have tapped to the Kimura. Now you got to tap to the wrist lock.
You guys
And-
remember when
and that's
Master
fine.
Danny used to teach us to double leg somebody onto like a 40-ounce bottle?
Yes.
They remember?
Right. He would tell you, find like
You-
don't do it in the
you
grass.
remember that?
Like the grass is there for you.
Yeah, he was like,
But-
you could throw him on the glass. He was like, you could throw him on the grass or you can throw him on the glass. Like, he was
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I love
rules,
that.
the street rules.
the street rules.
Yeah. He said like,
Remember that?
the grass is there for you. If you
Yeah,
do
he
something, the
told
grass
us
is
that.
to protect you. But if you're not worried about you,
He's like, throw him
there's a
on
40
He
ounce.
said, throw him on a
like-
glass bottle.
I remember because he was like, I mean, like when he did his classes, it wasn't just about MMA. It was also like street rules.
yeah,
Like,
it's like self-defense.
yeah.
He
Which
was
a
like,
pretty
this is what
old
happens
school.
when you break somebody's arm. This is the sound they make. Like,
It's like when you're having wings.
we were
or-
listening to DMX barking at us, and he was
Oh my
like, drop
God.
somebody on a glass bottle.
Man,
And it was the CD also.
It was
fucking
the
awesome.
the only station. Then when this guy figured out how to use Pandora or Spotify,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the
He had the
only
Migos
thing he
channel.
played. Fuck, and then
It was DMX, Migos, and Beastie Boys
No,
every
he had-
day.
He had a
Yeah.
CD and the little 4 or 5 rotating CD
yeah,
player.
the CD changer.
There was that too, and I was
Yes,
It's like there'd be days. So, no, there was a weird day, and I'm not sure what was going on with the radio because Huggy and I were rolling, and it was a good scramble, and then we got to a weird spot where we're kind of like working now. Yeah. We're stuck and we're slowly working. Then Whitney Houston comes on, and I looked at
It's
Huggy.
always some shit with the music.
And
I'll tell you
but
what,
it was
man.
out of nowhere. And I looked at Huggy, was like, let's reset. Because like the position we were in was really weird. And
Can't
Whitney
do
Houston
this.
comes on, I was
Right.
like, nope, let's just redo everything we're doing and start from the feet.
I don't know, man. Like Mariah Carey comes on sometimes, and it's like fantasy.
It's like one thing to like kind of bump to that, but it's like to drill to that or to train it. I was like, okay, I can't do Butterfly right now. I can't do Honey right now. It's just, maybe if you put The Roof On by Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
that Mob Deep beat, it's like, all right, we got shook ones in this bitch. But, as soon as it goes to anything that's a ballad, I'm like, okay, we got to reset this roll or change the music. It's a little weird for me because I'll listen to that after class. Because again, going into class, I got to kind of chill out. During class, I got to be amped up. But after class, I got to come back down. Like, because if I come home and I'm still like amped up, it's like I'm gonna come down here, jump on the treadmill, and fucking try to sprint, and then I'll collapse because I ain't got no energy to do that shit. But either way, as far as the music goes, like, look, just be cool, just like know your audience. Like, it's like if you want to play Migos, that's cool. Understand the room though.
Well, Master Danny used to always allude to the fact that he did a survey, and he said this all the time, that he did a survey where he was like, what kind of music do you want to listen to, when we're in a room? And overwhelmingly hip hop was the category. So he put on the hip hop that he liked, which was cool.
It's fine.
There was a lot of DMX. A lot.
A lot of barking.
A lot. So there was a lot of barking. Yes.
It's like super uncomfortable, but
But it was cool though. We
yeah.
had fun, though.
I mean, it got you amped up. You were there for it.
Hell yeah.
But it's like at some points, it's like, hey, DMX had like 5-6 albums. You got some other ones. We don't need just that second one. Like, you can go to the first one. Get at me, dog. Something.
Well, I liked when he added Migos. That was me and Huggy told him that. And then and then he liked them too. So that was good because it was like the same Beastie Boys songs, the same DMX songs. They do get you hyped though. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna lie. I mean, I was pretty hyped.
Yeah,
That was
it
white
brings
belt
the
for
energy.
me.
So I got a couple questions here before we get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. So each of you at the new rank of purple belt, because it's we're a couple months into this joint now. Do you feel any different as a grappler? I guess I should have directed that first so we can get, because every time I do that, Cass is just like, who's going to answer? So Kyle, I'm going to go to you first.
Do I feel any different as a grappler?
Yes.
Yeah. People are trying to kill me every day. Which is, yeah, okay, then that makes me feel better because I'm fighting these people off every single day. People ask me questions. So if anybody, I feel pretty flattered if anybody wants my opinion on jiu-jitsu. And, you do get a level of respect higher up for sure, because I feel like when you're a purple belt, you're an upper belt. When you're a blue belt, you're like a junior belt. You're like at Weenie Hunt Junior.
I still think a white belt and blue belt is like
you just be a
young
Weenie Hunt
belts.
Junior, even though you're a killer. Danny Mahoney was a killer at blue belt.
Yeah.
Let's just all throw that out there. But yeah, do I feel different? Hell yeah, I feel different. Make it the purple belt. Don't quit blue belt.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Once you get the
Don't
blue,
quit at blue belt.
don't
Make
quit.
it the purple belt. Purple belt is a glorious place. Come here.
There's some folks we know they
don't
got the
quit.
purple and they just bounced after purple.
Don't bounce.
This is wild. It's like, damn, dude, you worked that hard and you just left.
Jesus.
All right, Ronnie, how about yourself?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. I don't know why.
Still early.
The number of times that I've accidentally grabbed a blue belt on my way out the door to go. But no, I mean, I'm doing the same thing that I was doing before. And, just my big thing is just making sure that this isn't the last belt I ever get to glorify Julius's post that he does on everybody's promotion, mine included. Hoping this isn't my last one. So just keep moving.
And Mark.
Not different either. Like I remember, like we got promoted. Jose was like, different color, different demon. I was like, nah, different. Oh, I was like different. I was like same demon, different color. Like it's pretty much like nothing's gonna change, right? I'm still gonna train. I'm still gonna compete. I'm still gonna have fun. It's just a learning process. It's not like I got black yet, and even at black, it's like you're still gonna learn some stuff. I mean,
They say black, that's when the learning starts.
Yeah.
So.
And like even after that, like I still want to learn. I still want to. I mean, this is my hobby. This is my sport. So nothing really changed in terms of the mindset and the practice. It's just going to be like different matches. I'm not gonna say harder. I'm not gonna be, because I mean I know I'm gonna progress as I continue. It's just gonna be different. I will say when I got to purple belt and I'm looking at the matches, it's scarce, dude. Like blue belt's always filled, but purple belt, man, that was just like
Small ass bracket.
it's small. It's like what the fuck
What's the
happened?
percentage chance of people that make it to purple belt?
Real low. Like for example, like white's out here, blue's right here, and purple's like right there.
Right.
Like it's like it's really wide out, white and blue, and then when you get to purple, it's like it's super skinny.
It's
and
tiny.
then brown, it gets skinnier, and then black, it's like a line.
Infinitesimally small, yeah.
Like if you're looking at a funnel system, it's that. It's really so. I mean, again, to get purple, because a lot of people quit at blue, and a lot of people only want to get to blue. Like there are people at my job, right, at my school, who do jiu-jitsu also, and they're like, man, I just want to get blue and be done. I'm like, what? Like, no. Like, do you want to be in it, or you just want to, say, for the color? And like, so for some people, that's their goal, and like, that's all you. But that's just not my goal. Like I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna tell them like, hey, maybe you should go to purple. Maybe you should just try to do something or just enjoy the journey. All right. So, again, for some people, they just want to be a blue and be done. But for me, that's not the case. So.
Yeah, I don't know that. I know for me, when I got the blue, it was never a thought of like, all right, this is it. It was like, at the beginning, it was like, okay, what's next? Like in terms of like, not even like belt wise, but like, what's next in terms of like where do I go from here.
Yeah.
And you just keep working. But yeah, there are folks that like once they get that blue, it's kind of like, and blue is hard. It's not an easy belt. So you get folks that they cave in. I mean, I almost quit early on in blue, not because it was hard, but it was like I didn't understand. I was very confused. So I almost quit. And fortunately for my wife, she was like, you can't quit, because she recognized, like, for me, like, I was happier training. Yeah. She was like, you're so much happier with jiu-jitsu versus not. And I even said to myself, it's like, what would I replace?
Yeah.
Like, if I stop doing jiu-jitsu, what do I put in that place now? And there's really nothing.
And that's the thing too, man. Like for me, like I grew up on sports where it's like one-on-one. Like I'm a big tennis player. I used to play collegiate tennis, and like I always enjoyed the one-on-one aspect of like, all right, let me try to like mind game this person. Let me try to out technique this person. I don't mind team sports, but I always enjoyed having a one-on-one battle with someone. And that's like how I see jiu-jitsu, right? It's a one-on-one match, like, and you kind of just have to like learn how to counteract, learn how to like plan ahead, learn how to like predict. And it's not just about strength for me. It's kind of like also kind of like what can I do to prevent A, B, and C so I could get to my A plan? Or if I know my A plan is going to suck, how do I get to my B? How can I mind game the person to thinking I'm going to do A and do B instead? You know what I mean? That's my approach on it. And then I also enjoy like there's a flow chart. Like our system has a flow to certain things. Like for example, simple one is like split pass, right? You go one side. It's lateral movement every time you go. Like you go to like split pass 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can also alternate in between too.
Everyone is alternating to the other side.
Yeah,
easy to understand.
Yeah. And so when you think about the system and you think it's not just like, oh, this move is just for this move. It's like, man, yeah, there is that, but there's also like, how can you switch it up so you trick the other person and then get to a more advantageous position. So that's literally how I think of it in my head. That's why like purple belt, I mean, it's a different color, but my thought process and my learning on building up on that, it's not going to change.
And the last one before we get out of here, this is the absolute last question. How do you define success at purple belt?
Have your own BJJ Fanatics page.
Yeah, right. That's right. Well, that will never happen for me. I'm a much more under the radar kind of guy. These guys are competitors. These guys are, they have a track record. I don't. So I don't know. It's an interesting place to be. But success for me, I'm like I said, I never took the advice of like having a specific goal. My specific goal was always to get better. But then they told me that wasn't a good goal because it's not trackable or whatever. Well, I don't know. I think getting the next belt rank is pretty trackable. So in my mind, I'm always a 1% better guy. Yeah. I come in, consistently. I'm always training, always getting better, self-reflective. I don't journal. I don't videotape my matches. I just think about them. I don't know. I just think about them. Coach Key tells a story of a guy who was on an extended injury and like in his mind thought about jiu-jitsu
did
and
mental
like,
reps
and like did mental reps and like made it to the next belt level. So if a motherfucker can literally psychically make it to the next belt level, I think I can make it eventually by showing up and just thinking about like how do I get better. And like that was the speech that Keith gave when he promoted me. He literally was like, this guy shows up consistently and thinks about how can I get better. He has neck problems. Here you go. Yeah, give me a purple belt, which was great. Actually, the crowning achievement probably of my life, which is an interesting way of thinking about it. But it's actually true because I hold many college degrees, but they were easy. This was hard.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
Ronnie.
Success at purple belt. I reiterate, just trying to make sure that this is not the last belt that I ever get. So, I mean, it's every day I can see and I can feel my progression in the different systems that I'm trying to improve upon, doing the 90-day cycles and in different guards or different passing. So being that I can continually feel that, I mean, it's I do see people watching, seeing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis when I am training. I mean, the nice part is that I'm at a new belt and the pressure's off. So I couldn't be even. I could go and win the worlds in 3 months, which is not on the table at all. Still can't get promoted to brown.
So, okay, so you're saying the pressure's off because you're not going up for promotion. But it's funny because at Purple, I feel like some of the pressure is up in the room. You know what I mean?
Oddly enough, I didn't feel a lot of pressure in my last year at Blue to do anything. I was just kind of going in and doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. And
that's how I felt at Blue too.
Yeah. Towards the end, it was just, again, I had reserved myself to spending a whole nother year there. So it was what it was. Now that we're at Purple, I don't feel anything different because I'm the same grappler that I was before I put that on. They just saw what they saw, and they gave me a different accessory to close my gi with.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's, and then when they see the next one, I kind of came to that revelation probably a year and a half ago, and just this giant epiphany moment. And all of a sudden I stopped worrying about it. That competition will be competition, and every belt's a range. I'll make it to brown belt and still get really good matches with world champion caliber blue belts. I mean, it'll, Keith's thing with like blue belts is that a world champion blue belt should be able to take a match off of a decent black belt. Right? Should be able to catch them, should be able to do their thing. Well, a purple belt should be able to go up. So,
Well, that shows right there that it's also about skill and knowledge and experience in years too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I know there was, and I'm just gonna make a quick aside because I don't want to open this up as a whole discussion piece, but there are videos that say like, should we get rid of ranks in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And I thought about it and I was like, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. And this goes back to what we're saying. Like, it's not just the skill, but it's also the knowledge and like the experiential. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a traditional thing, but it's also, there is a hierarchy as it exists.
They're mile markers, basically, to be like.
There are.
Like, this is your progress, and
this is what you should know.
Yeah, and it's like structured so that
this is who I can put with who.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not like you be putting a world champion black belt all of a sudden, like working within our team, like, you got to know who to put Elijah Dorsey with. And not that the coach doesn't know that, but if you were to mix match, throw the 4 schools together and take everybody's belt off.
That's insane to me. Like, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if I'm just being a traditionalist, like I'm going to like go ahead and expose, like maybe that's my own bias, but like, I think that's absolutely insane and anarchy and would not like, how the fuck do you line up? How do you like, if there's 2 people rolling and you bump, like who moves? Like, I don't want to live in that world.
Oh, a lot of systems. No, I mean, it's a big thing, but it's a lot of it's kind of it's like the what like we were talking about with the pressure thing. Like I said, the with there being a hierarchy, everything like the pressure's off. Like, I've got 2-3 years to figure out what I want to do. I mean, I might not even be a pressure passer in the end of Purple Belt. I don't know.
That's insane.
Right. You don't know. I could be a cannonball passer. We have no idea. I mean, it could be just bulldog fighting and knee
step
cutting.
through. Just trying to get the step through pass.
Right out here. Yeah.
I love the step through pass. That's the low calorie pass.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you get all this stuff down. I might be, you never know. I might be a guard guy. I might be a reverse De La Riva guy by the time it's all done. We have no idea. But I got time to figure it out.
Well, that's one thing too. It's like with the pressure thing. It's like there's sometimes you go into no gi, and there's no like belts. And there's no you don't know who's what.
Yeah,
I feel less pressure because I don't know what you are. Now I do think I agree with Kyle. It's like I still want that order, but there are times where I go to no gi and I don't see any rankings. I don't know what's what, and I'm like, you know what? I feel fine because I don't know who you are, but I know who I am. and I know what I'm here to do this.
Yeah.
So but if I see, oh, that's a brown belt, fuck, now it's in my head. It's like,
Oh, that's a good point.
now I got to do this.
Opposite. I see a brown belt or a black belt. I'm like,
We're gonna have a good
oof, I
one.
want that.
Mark's like, I'm taking his leg.
I like
home.
that too. I like fighting up too. I'm not gonna lie. I do like fighting up. I feel like at blue, I
There's
fought
no
the
loss.
purple belts a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's no like not to get into BJJ bitch assness or anything like that, but like realistically, especially as the lower belt, if I go up against a black belt, like when like I do expert over at like the Naga coming up, if I go up against a black belt and I lose,
You fuck him up. That's what you do.
well, I'm gonna
Bust
fuck him
his
up.
ass.
I'm not worried about it. It's it's an if. Like if I trip and fall, whatever, meteorite hits me and the guy double legs me, whatever. But because I'm,
Wouldn't he also be obliterated?
maybe
grappling with
really
him.
just depends on a couple things.
He's a black belt, plot armor.
That plot armor, that's right. But I mean, at the end of it, if I win, cool. And then we're gonna
Yeah,
immediately
you're saying
assume
it's
that the
low
black belt-
stakes. You're saying
Right, it's low stakes. If I
yeah.
go out and I get my ass kicked in by a fucking black belt, you're like, all right,
Yeah.
back to the drawing board. We're gonna figure out how to beat this guy in however many years. We'll figure it out.
It's so funny because like because like I went against a black belt at the Naga, right? And my mind wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to attack you on this one, right? But I went out there and I was like, man, I'm gonna leg lock this motherfucker right now.
And you did,
I did.
and you did,
I heel hooked him.
right? And you heel hooked.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
'Cause, like for me, like it's. I mean, I'm competing to win. Like I want to win. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. But I also see it like as a learning experience too, right? Like I don't want to be like BJJ bitch assness where I'm like, oh, if I lose, I lose. I'm like, all right, well, what do I need to do better so I could beat this?
Yeah, it's a
motherfucker?
learning experience,
Yeah,
one way or
yeah,
the other.
sure.
It's where you're
You
trying
know
to
what
get.
the best medium is being both of those things. Like that's the ultimate like humility is being like, okay, like I accept the defeat, but we're gonna find out what we did
Yeah,
wrong.
to
You
find
know
out.
what I mean?
I always-
I do think that's what
This
going
purple
back
belt
to
has
going,
that. Yeah.
He
going
had some
back
for
to
him.
the theme of this episode, which is us three all being promoted to purple at the same time.
Yeah.
We already discussed what made our journey different.
Yeah.
But like that's definitely what makes it the same as like the wanting to be better and literally climbing the ladder even when
Yeah.
it was like you're eating shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's like we've made it into that tiny little circle, that tiny little disc on that, circle graph.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it. It does feel good.
Absolutely.
It does.
And then Mark, your definition of success at Purple.
My definition, like what am I looking forward to do at Purple?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know, because I feel like I'm already living the dream, right? Like I got a good team, I got a good group of people I could hang out with
100%.
and like roll with, right? And like to me, it's funny because like I'm super competitive, but also like I'm enjoying my journey. So even though I want to compete, I compete a lot, don't get me wrong. And I compete with the intent of winning and trying to get better, but I also use competitions to make me better, right? Like so for me, the competition is like it's going to be there, but it's not going to eat me up if I lose. I just want to get better and enjoy like the sport. I want to like fight other people. I want to like get rounds in with them. So for me, like success is just continuing forward onto the next belt and then onto the next belt and onto the next journey and adventures I go on. Because like honestly, like one thing I do enjoy about competing is like I get to travel with my buddies and like granted these tournaments they're more like an adventure in its own, right? For example, I remember Chris Tran and Shane Lohman, we did Pants Nogi, right? And we had a long flight. I mean, but it was comfortable. We were all having a good time. But as soon as we get there, we're like, shit, how do we use this car we rented? Like, we don't know how to turn on the dashboard lights. We don't know how to turn on the high beams. And like, it sounds dumb, but in a way it's like, it's a fun experience. Like I'm with my buddies and I'm like, we're here having fun, but we're also here with intent. Like we're here trying to win or we're here trying to medal and have fun. So to me, that was already like a successful experience. So I feel like I'm getting a lot out of life. I mean, I could say I'm doing way more than the people in my school because, like, yeah, maybe they're doing something entirely different, but to me, this is my priority in terms of my hobby, right?
Yep.
So that's my definition of success. Because again, like I have goals, but they're there. And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to treat them 100%. Like I'm still going to go out there and try to fuck shit up. But at the same time, I'm not going to like drag my ass through the mud mentally and emotionally over it. You know, I just want to troubleshoot, get better, and win shit.
That's fair enough. I mean, I think ultimately, just keep getting better.
Yeah,
all of us.
At the end of the day, everyone's journey is different. Everyone comes in for different reasons, and that's perfectly fine. And that they should do what they want to do. If they want to compete, sure. If they just want to have fun, sure. You know, at the end of the day, though, you do want to improve, like Kyle said, like get 1% better. You know, take what you can out of the curriculum, out of the lesson, and just apply it next time. And then, in a way, it's like self-rewarding. Like you're like, for example, you can't do a berimbolo for a month, and then suddenly you make the little changes, and then it adds up, and then now you can berimbolo. It's like, fuck, wow.
Berimbolo is such a good example too, because when you first see the berimbolo, you're like, what?
That's me.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then when you're learning it, you're like, what? This is insane. But then it clicks, you know.
It's hard. Like, honestly, like for masters too, it's like, it's tough because you don't know anyone's condition. You don't know their physical condition. Mm-hmm. Maybe they have like neck problems, or maybe like they just can't do it because their body doesn't work that way. And it's fine. But eventually, if you keep doing it, you're going to get there.
I got one for you. Teach that to a child.
Why?
Right. Why? The problem is that at competition level, they're doing it as early as gray belt.
Yeah, I know that.
I just posted a video.
Their bodies are so Gumby that they could do the shit. Like,
the problem is that they're so Gumby.
Are they gonna? Do they spam it like you know how in Mortal Kombat you press the light punch button and it goes over and over and over?
So, and that's the problem is that like, but I want you to think about like we were like mixing what we were talking about. Like you learn jiu-jitsu for different reasons. Berimbolo is not something that should or probably could be. I shouldn't say could be. Of course, you could make it part of somebody my size's tool chest, but stereotypically speaking, it's not. But I find myself hitting it in the room, seeing it in the room, only because I've got to teach it to so many kids.
Is this controversial to say? I don't think it's that limiting. Like, I think you can hit it if you're.
It's the pursuant battle. Yeah, it's not the initial move. It's the pursuant battle afterwards. Is because you're going up upside down and everything else. And then you gotta. But it's parts of the game that I've learned because.
Also, the weight classes play a big thing too. Like for our weight class, it's hard.
I think that's where it's a little bit more special though, because I'm not expecting you to hit that shit. But when you do, it's like. All right,
I hit it
we're
quick.
on another level.
I will slide it, especially from side control. If I can step over that top leg, I'm going. That's it.
Like if I'm going with Kyle, I'm semi expecting it, but that's because I know you and I roll with you. But you're a smaller guy, so it's like he might have it in his tool bag, so I'm gonna have to block the shit. But if I'm rolling with you, I'm not thinking I have to block it with you because like this big motherfucker's not gonna. Oh shit! He's on my back. Fuck.
You know, so we have a new guy at the gym. His name is TJ. One of the coolest guys I've ever met, and he's a world medalist, and he has probably one of the greatest bolos I've ever seen. But I wasn't expecting bolos because again, at our weight class, like who does bolos in first of all in our gym at our weight class, like heavy and above? No one. So TJ did it on me, and man, when that guy does it, I'm just like fuck, like I'm stuck there.
With his
and
light feather ass.
And he just gets up. And then, like, when you try to get him back on bottom, he does it again. And it's so clean. It's like, well, this is new. It's like I got my cherry pop for this.
He's on my back. We're going to find a way to reconcile this emotional damage later.
Yeah, well, and that's how I feel, too. It's like as soon as someone hits it on me, I feel dejected. And I'm like, yo, I have trauma. And I'm like
you just got wrist locked.
Yes. Like it doesn't hurt as much, but it's close. And I feel like, you know what? I got to figure out how to get this shit back. Like we can't live with this. So, you know, with that being what it is, you know, I'm all about them bolos now. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this shit up because we've been here for a minute, even longer because we had almost an hour before recording.
Oh yeah.
So, Kyle, Ronnie, Mark, thank you for doing this. Thank you for making the time and sharing your stories and your knowledge because that's what this is all about, is like learning from everyone. So thank you for that. Before we get out of here, you got any shout outs, mentions you want to drop for us?
No, I don't talk to nobody. So
I fucks with that.
My shout out is shout out to my family and shout out to my gym, my team, Crazy 88, and that's basically my only association. So
I fuck with that. That's tight. Ronnie.
Just to everybody at Crazy 88. I wouldn't love jiu-jitsu the way that I do if it wasn't for this particular team. I can't imagine doing it with anybody else.
Fair enough. And Mark.
To my sponsors, Kali now.
Who is that?
So it's cool because this is basically a Filipino-based jiu-jitsu brand. So when I found them, it was actually last year, and I reached out to them. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool because I started off with like I'm Filipino, and I actually want to bring out more of the I guess recognition to like Filipino competitors, right? Because we have quite a few. Like Alex Enriquez she's Filipino and she's been killing it on the black belt women's tour. Like she's Pan and world nogi medal gold medalist. Fuck
yeah, she's
and then like I don't know the Corby brothers. I think they're Filipino. Damien from B Team, he's Filipino and he's like pretty. He does MMA though, but like he's pretty proud about his heritage. So I was like, man, like I'm Filipino and I compete all the time. So like, why don't I do this? So I reached out to them. I think it took about like half a year to get the contract in, but once I got it in, I was like, man, I'm gonna start spamming the brand because I do want to bring like more. I do want to bring more eyes to like the Filipino community, especially as a Filipino, as I compete, and also like I'm always about what they're trying to represent, like like a calm state of mind, enjoy like what you're doing in life, stuff like that, and I think that's really beneficial because again, I mean I'm an athlete, but I also don't want to think like murder, death, kill. Like I want to just enjoy life and really
100%.
kind of just really go with like how my routes go, my journey, and enjoy it. Like I don't want to stress over it. I kind of just want to be there for me and my mental growth and my emotional growth. So I thought this was a really cool brand, and I'm glad they're sponsoring me. So
absolutely. And as always, to the listeners, thank you. If you have any questions, concerns, criticisms, feel free to reach out. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast, also on Instagram. I want to give a big shout out to Nerd Rage Radio. We're about to come up on 500 over there, so fucking make some noise for them. Hold on, let me hit this button. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So thank you to Bobby, Chris, Joe, Maryland Phil, Ricky Tiki, all you motherfuckers over there. Thank you so much. I want to also give another shout out to my other podcast, So You Like Horror. If you're into scary movies, go check that shit out on Instagram. So You Like Horror, all the words separated by underscores. This year we're doing the theme of remake versus originals. And we just did Amityville. We're going to be doing 13 Ghosts real soon. And we're going to be doing Nightmare on Elm Street. So get into it. And last but not least, big shout out again. Kyle, Ronnie, Mark, Crazy 88. Congrats to all you dudes on getting your purple belt. Congrats on continuing that journey. I love you guys. You all are some of the best teammates that I've encountered from day one, way back in the day. And just... I love seeing your progress. I love seeing your growth, and you all make me better. Even when you're wrist locking me in triangle, and it hurts, but I know it's from the heart. So thank you to everybody. We love you, and as listeners, again, you know what it is. You guys keep listening. We're gonna definitely keep making the shows. Thank you, everybody, and ciao.
They were with it. Now let me sing a song.